10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Good luck, studio.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Paul Chandler, the shy Yeti. He's not that shy.
Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
All I wanted was a pie, and then I hatched out of an egg.
Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, you know.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep? Is it deep?
Boy, he's not all that shy, is right.
Blimey, Governor, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Excellent.
530.
Hello, campers. How are you?
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Shy Life Podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? I'm all right. I'm a little bit croaky, actually, only a little bit. I think it's the pollen. All of the blossoms come out. I do get affected by pollen. I don't think it's anything more serious. In fact, it's been happening for like a week or more now, and I feel fine in myself. But I'm taking my hay fever pill, and it's more when I wake up in the morning. But anyway, you don't need to know about that. So what are we going to be doing this episode? Well, I think it's going to be a diary episode. I'm not 100% sure what we'll be doing, but let's run the theme music, and when we come back, I'll tell you a bit more where we'll be diarying. Yeah. Okay. Run that theme music.
Darling, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
It's positive thinking. High Life, the Shy Life.
You won't find a cast of characters like this everywhere.
Hello, Paul.
I'll go anywhere for a potato.
Delicious. This particular episode of The Shy Life is a little more abstract than usual.
Go Shy Yeti.
Oh, I hope he hasn't found out my secret. I think he has.
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Oh, I can't wait for it to begin.
It's the Shy Life Podcast.
Watch out, everybody. I think Paul's got a really big shoe for today.
Yeah, I'm strangely drawn to Yeti Angry John's ankles as well.
Has the Shy Life Podcast slowed down? I don't think so.
It's all gooey and meaty and yum, 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 yum.
Hello again. Yes, I probably should have recorded on the train, but I'm in Salisbury, visiting my parents. It's Thursday the 21st, is it? Thursday the 21st of April, 2022. I'm here until probably Friday or Saturday next week. I'm not sure exactly yet. I don't know if we'll be going out for a meal or going anywhere. I'm really not sure what the plan is yet. As I say, I should have recorded on the train, but my connecting train was 3 or 4 minutes late, and I had to rush. And as I got off that train, my other train was coming in, and I had to rush and dash onto the nearest carriage, and then I ended up having to sit on the really hard sort of seats, which aren't that comfortable. But so it wasn't the best area for recording. But I think we'll be seeing Nick. That is definitely the plan. And who knows? Who knows who else we'll bump into? My mum, maybe. I mean, actually, I've got quite a lot of episodes that I'm intending to record this week. So I don't know whether those will feature or be mentioned. But I'm possibly recording with Andrew. I'm possibly recording with Warren, with Toppy, so I'm also with Nick. I'm also probably recording with Martin Holmes. I've got a lot of recording planned, and that's just sort of things I know are going to happen. But anyway, we're just at the BP garage on the outskirts of Salisbury, heading back to my parents. My dad's in there. I'm sitting in the car. And we're going to be home. I don't know what the next thing I'll be recording. I think Friday, I've got the house to myself. My parents are out. Saturday, I'm seeing Nick. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I'll get to record with my mum. But again, for another episode, I've been meaning to do an episode, a sort of book club crossover episode. You know, that telephone box we have. She's got so many books. And I thought, you know, we'd go and see what was in the telephone box and talk about some of the stuff she's got pending to go on the shelves. Hasn't really been warm enough the last few visits I've made because of it being winter, but now it's the spring, so yeah. Hopefully I'll feel a bit more energetic. Yeah, I expect we'll be doing Wordle as well, my mum and I, because that's something we do. Yeah, but she's not been doing so well the last few days. She's a bit cross with herself. But anyway, my dad's on his way back to the car, so I'll say bye-bye for the moment, and then, yeah, I don't know where we'll be next time we speak, but yes, so more in a minute, but that might be tomorrow in my time. Okay, here we go. I hope it'll be a fun diary episode. Hello, Mr. T. How are you?
Hello, I'm not so bad. Yeah.
It's Mr. T from around the archives, not from the A-Team. It's Troby. Okay.
No, I'm not Mr. T. But then I have never been on a plane.
No.
So we could be confused in that respect. No, I don't think I've ever been on a plane. How very odd.
Yeah, well, we're going to do some recording today for this episode.
Are we? Blimey. This is short notice.
Yeah, at least a week.
Have I got to put on a hat or something? A funny hat and jump up and down and do things.
Yeah. Well, this is just us talking about what we're going to be recording for the diary.
Ah, I see. You have a I was going to say a dairy episode, but no, that's a whole different thing, isn't it? Yeah. Long time since I've had a diary. I had a diary at school that was written by Giles Brandreth. Would you believe?
He wrote your He came in and wrote.
He wrote my diary. No, I used to be in a book club at school, and used to have to buy a book every sort of couple of months. And at the end of the year, they offered you a school, like it was like a school diary full of facts and jokes and things like that. But it was edited by Giles Brandreth, and I'd never heard of him at that point. I didn't know who he was. I imagined he was like a sort of a cool young dude, and I'm not so sure about that these days. But yeah, I remember that.
Well, the only diary I know that I wrote in any detail is this 1991 that I've been unleashing on the listeners.
Why did you not do any more? Did you just?
No, I don't really remember having. I just think probably keeping it going. I'm sure I probably did a other year. I think I did find like a 1986 one. My handwriting really improved between 86 and 90. But I don't know. I don't see why there shouldn't be some of a 91 diary somewhere, but I just haven't come across it. I can imagine, like, because it's so well filled, the 1991, you would have thought I would have gone steamrolling into the next year, and then some maybe lost interest. I mean, 91, I would have been still at school. I would have. It's not like I had anything particular. It's not like going to university where you've got lots of things going on and you kind of forget about doing things. Perhaps. I don't know. I did keep a 5-year diary, but that would have. I haven't really seen those, and they're probably somewhere. But that would have been like a paragraph compared to the whole page. But actually, it's been quite traumatic reading some of the it reminded me of things like being nearly physically assaulted by somebody on my paper round because they thought I was late to delivering. And
oh dear, it was a hard life back then. If you didn't get the papers in on time. I've read I've actually read many times. Kenneth Williams's diaries. Have you ever read those?
I have, although I think I stopped in the last few years because it got too sad. So.
It's a bit sad, yeah. But it's like he's like. I always quite like reading celebrity diaries because the first thing I always look up in the index is Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And of course he references is it the android invasion in that Doctor Who gets more and more silly. But also I've got Michael Palin's diaries.
I think I've got those. I haven't read started them.
And like early 1970, back in time for Doctor Who. He actually thought that was important enough to write in his diary. He and his kids went to see the Peter Cushing film Doctor Who and the Daleks in the cinema or some such. So, which you might soon be able to do again, I understand.
Oh, apparently.
So it's weird what goes around and comes around. But, yeah.
So yes. So I can't remember what I was saying there. But yeah, we're going to record a couple of episodes. We're going to record a whole episode in space.
Yes.
We've been talking about for a while. It's been loitering near the bottom of my to coming soon list on my blog for a while. But
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things we sort of planned, and then I wondered whether we could do it via a computer game, and then it just turned out to be too complicated to do, I think, really. So it's just easier to do it the way we're going to do it, I think.
And it also links into I was having a big conflab with Toppy about future crossovers with the Snarcast, and we're going to put that. I don't quite know.
Is it going to be part of a bigger podcast universe? I always like that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's going to go into the. I think Toppy.
I mean, Marvel's got nothing on us, has it? When it comes to, right?
I think Toppy wants to do more crossovers and less plots that last for like years because people forget what's happened. Whereas I think we're trying to compare his plot lines and my plot lines, and I think my plot lines are more like what I did in Sutton Park, where there might be if you put them all together they cover a long time, but there are lots of smaller bits that make maybe and also I don't presume that I'm going to have a resolution because you can't always resolve these things anyway. What can you do about controlled incorporated? Blow them all up.
Sometimes plot lines just fade away, don't they? And sometimes they perk up again years later. It's amazing.
Who knows when we'll next hear from Ethel? Ethel might turn up again one day.
That's like real life, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought,
things wax and wane, and
because Sutton Park was very much dependent on people turning up. If somebody turned up I hadn't seen for ages, I thought, we did that plot with you. We could continue with that. But if I didn't see them, and they wouldn't. It didn't happen. But I don't know how many potential plots on Sutton Park were scuppered because somebody failed to turn up or plans changed. And I thought, we won't do that. But sorry.
I was going to say, life is full of loose ends, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's all too neat. It's like that's what I like about our improvising, because people in real life, people don't have perfect scripts, and they do stumble on their words, or they repeat themselves, or they. Sometimes, the more I watch TV, the more I think. It's very unrealistic. Everyone's talking, and everyone's said no one's mucked up their work, what they're saying, and
I could bang on for minutes about what I regard as what's actually realistic and things like that. And I honestly did argue once that Come Back, Mrs. Noah is far more realistic than Star Trek: The Next Generation. So there you go. In lots of ways.
That's one for a Chatterbox episode.
Yeah.
The other thing we're going to record is just a little conversation. I decided I was watching Snake Dance, Doctor Who story. Well, it's Doctor Who story, but the listeners might not, because I'm excited about Tegan coming back and Ace. But and I just thought I fancied a bit of Tegan, and as it were, just a bit of just a haircut. And it made me think, I want to do a sort of possessed by something type. I want to do my version of the Mara, but I thought it had to be jelly snakes.
Well, I remember having some plastic snakes once with you in Sutton Park, which they were like components of the game. Yeah. Snifty Snakes was the game, and you had these plastic glasses that you had to wear with a snake hanging down from the nose. And the plastic glasses, when we were like older and filming Sutton Park, were far too small to fit on your face. They used to hurt. But you could at least wave the plastic snakes about. So
But they were quite common toys, probably not connected to that game, but you did used to get those plastic snakes that were made of segments that wobbled about.
Oh yeah, the sort of clacky things. Yeah, you'd sort of hold them out and they'd oscillate.
You could get some quite big ones and some quite not sort of.
I'd forgotten about those, but yeah, you're right. They used to be everywhere. Yeah. They used to like present Top of the Pops and everything.
Yes, as a show.
You'd roll your eyes if like Parkinson was on and the plastic snakes would come. Oh, not them again! Get Harry Seacombe on or something.
Yeah, and so I just thought, yeah. Well, the thing is, people being possessed by things or being sleep and hypnotized, and it's very me. It's just a different way of doing. Oh, I could do that again in a different way. And well,
do you go to snake dance rather than Kinder then? Is that your?
I like snake dance more than Kinder.
I think I'm the other way. I think I'd actually. I'd go to Kinder more than snake dance.
I think a lot of people do. I think. Well, I just like it's very good. Like the cliffhangers with like snaking all the snaky transference and all that stuff. And
I guess I must have a blind spot when it comes to Clunes, Martin Clunes. Not that I dislike his performance, but I remember we were in Gillingham once. I think Warren was with us, me, Lisa, and Warren, and we were in one of the sort of little stores, and I held the door open for somebody who came in, and they just sort of said thanks, went past, and I went on, and I think Lisa said to me, do you know who that was? And I went, no. That was Martin Clunes. Oh, I didn't notice. So
he wasn't wearing that silly earring and acting like
he didn't have his dress on, so I didn't recognise him.
Possessed by a snake with lots of mascara on.
Well, yeah, I might have noticed it was him if he'd been like that. But yeah, Martin Clunes in real life, just no, sorry, mate, didn't even notice you. Sorry.
Hello, listeners. It's Cuthbert here again. Coming up in a moment we have a chat with Paul, Mr. Nick, and Top Piece Melly, which was recorded just before they began their recent episode about how different words are across the pond. First up, we have some material to share with you that was left over from another edition that Paul was editing during the time that this diary episode was being recorded. We have some behind-the-scenes chitter-chat from our show on the music of 1997. I'll be back later to introduce further segments, but I'll leave you for now, so let's sit back and have a listen to Paul and Lee.
How long that was? How long have we been talking?
I don't know, it doesn't say. Oh no, 1 hour 46.
Is that with our chatter before?
Yes, yeah.
I was going to say, if we don't... Oh yeah, it's only 1 hour 14, the actual recording. Well, that'd be quite good because I've got the... I thought we were recording last week, I did Yeti'S stuff then, so that's fine.
Oh, right.
I think this is why I had a bit of a... a couple of times I was faltering because I was thinking, I feel like I've talked about this already, and that's only because I'd done Yeti'S singing.
Yeah, the songs.
Usually I don't do it that way around, but I think because I'm doing the 1950s with my friend Martin, but we're doing kind of 2 years at a time. There's also less to talk about, really.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, things were out for months and months and months, weren't they?
Or people just did. Like they didn't bother getting the American version; they just do their own version.
Yes,
but mostly a lot of the songs I just can't be bothered to find out what I don't know them. I don't bother. So I think there was like the 3 songs I did not know. It just sings the titles of the songs to the tune of one of those 3 songs.
I would imagine there's lots of kind of like Billy Ray, Bob Thornton singing songs about their like hot date. No, not even hot date night. Like that kind of stuff in the 50s. Like,
I think in the first episode, that there was like the big song of the moment was "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window," and there were people doing it in different countries. And
Yes.
and I was like, my God, I didn't even realise that was a chart-worthy song. It was just a song my grands used to sing.
Yeah. On the old 45s.
But yeah, I had to do the singing for that one, I think, and I thought, whilst I got the chance, I'll do the singing for the '97 one. So, yes, I'll have to work out in where I'm going to put it in the schedule. But
have you heard the your British Eurovision entry?
No. What is it?
Spaceman by somebody. Spaceman by a man with very long hair and a beard. It looks like Jonathan Van Ness out of Queer Eye, and it's very high pitched. I'm not keen, but it might be a grower.
I haven't even watched the last couple of years because, well, I mean, there was that funny one the first year. They did something last year, didn't they? But,
yeah, they performed, but there was no audience. Yeah. No audiences. They were all around. He's called Sam Ryder, and he started off on TikTok singing things. He looks very cheerful. He looks very chirpy. I've never heard of him, which is not unusual because I don't do TikTok and that kind of stuff, so I wouldn't know. But it's just a bit high pitched, and he says spaceman as in spaceman, the spaceman that goes into space, but then kind of has a line like, "You just got to give me some space, man," and I'm like, no, I'm not having that. But I don't think it matters what we send. We're not going to do anything anyway.
I think the last year I was excited. I think I have a DVD of like 2016. I think that might be the last year I was excited.
There are some very, very novelty ones that are good fun. There's one called Mr. Wolf, I think it's called, which is all about having a wolf as a friend. It's like a techno beat, and the group are actually all wearing like futuristic wolf helmets. I like that one. There's another one about salad, and one of the lines in it is, "I don't eat meat, I only eat salad," and which
blimey, that's a bit much.
It's a bit much for Eurovision. But I think the performance they beat that out. They don't say that. They pause. But I have to bring the fun back. Let's have some fun.
I used to enjoy it more when we used to go and we used to go and have a party at Harry's house, and we had score sheets. And since we haven't really been doing that, it's become less fun for me to be just sitting here watching by myself. It's kind of, that's weird. I just said Harry's name and I had a Facebook message from him.
Oh,
like, we've summoned him. We didn't say his name 5 times, did we?
In a mirror at midnight.
Yeah. Strange. He's obviously budget version.
He just, there was a light went off in his house. Somebody has mentioned me.
The good thing is he won't kill us. He won't kill us. He'll just be mildly sarcastic.
Make us feel a little bit down.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I shall let you get on with that, and we will speak again for 98 soon.
Yes. And then it will be in the 21st century. I don't know quite what day. I think we've probably got a good run of episodes still, because I don't think I lost interest in the charts until after 2010. Probably somewhere between. I kind of had a bit of like the year that when Dua Lipa was in the charts, I kind of discovered I actually knew quite a few songs. Well, no, about 3. I knew about 3 songs in the charts.
Oh yeah, I don't mind Dua Lipa, but she actually just hasn't had that. And we were doing something for the Pop Gaze, and I was looking at her chart statistics. She's not had that many. Although I know a lot of the songs, not many charted. Not many got into the sort of upper realms of the chart. But I think that's the same for everything, isn't it? It's
there's that. What was her name? The woman. Who did Buffalo Stance?
Nina Cherry.
Yeah. Then her daughter is Mabel, who's had some hits, but I think she's been dropped by her label now. So, or something. So it just seems to change. Right? Your fortunes change. Right?
It's instant. If it's not an instantaneous streaming hit, you're gone. I think
that Charlie XCX.
Yes.
Had a few hits, but she's had more flops than hits.
And there's a new album by Foxes who I quite like, which is very poppy, but that didn't even chart. It didn't even enter the chart. But she's self-produced it, so she's not relying on it.
I like that Agnes, and she doesn't have hits over here.
No, but she's a lovely Dorito hairdo at the moment.
Yes,
she's rocking the.
I have started the last couple of years. I have started keeping playlists on my phone of songs that have come out in this year. They don't have to be hits; they're just hits for me. So.
Yeah, I just miss the days of going into like Woolworths and HMV and Our Price and looking at the new releases and going, oh. 99p. There used to be 99p or 50p if you were lucky in Woolworths the first week of release. And if it went into the charts, then they would be in $1.99. If they didn't, then they would go into the bargain.
And when I was at university in Birmingham, everything was, all the new singles were 99p. They seemed to be in the record shop I used to go into. You could afford to do it.
You could afford not now, not nowadays. You've got to stream it. You've got to blah blah it. You've got to yada yada. You've just got which I think is why things like cassettes are coming back, because people like the.
I quite like this band. I only discovered them yesterday. I was told about that. Wet Leg. They did a song called Chaise Longue last year. They're just a bit silly. They're two girls, but they're kind of a bit more sort of rocky, poppy.
Okay.
But their lyrics are quite funny, and their videos are quite funny. They're from the Isle of Wight as well, they sound like they're from America, but they're from the Isle of Wight.
Oh, I'll have to Wet Leg. What a lovely name!
Yeah, I posted at least one of their songs on my wall in the last 24 hours.
I shall go and check out a bit of Wet Leg. Okie dokie.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. A pleasure as always. I will speak to you soon.
Yeah, cool. And Dealey says hello as well.
Oh, hello, Dealey. He's a grand old age now, isn't he? I was thinking the other day when I saw a picture, I'm thinking, he's always been here, always been with us.
Probably have had him almost as long as I've known you, or around the same time.
Yeah, because 18, how old? That's like 128 or something in human years, isn't it? That.
Yeah.
He could be on track to be the UK's longest living.
Well, I've made him as I've said he was in it. We did a plot line where it turns out he's an alien who's just come to watch. Because he's so much part of the show that when something does happen to him, I can't possibly say what's happened to him. I just can't say that he's gone back to his home planet.
He's finally had enough,
but I've been working that plot for the last couple of years, and he's continued on. So I feel like I underestimated him.
You underestimated his powers,
which makes me think that I was actually right in the first place.
Could well be. Never yet. One eye open. Yeah, if he suddenly goes, then we'll know probably the end is nigh for the world in general. Right. He's probably gone, no, that's it. That Pooty Pants, as somebody has been calling him, which makes me chuckle. Has pressed the button, and pop, we've got, which is cheerful.
And we shall end on that note.
Yes, we shall. Yes. All right. I will speak to you later.
Yeah. Cool.
Bye.
Bye for now. Goodbye. I've got 3 different things I want to record today. I've started the recording now because I'm doing a diary episode. So this bit's for the diary episode. So this is us just saying we're here.
We're here, yeah.
But I also want to, we'll do a chatting episode. And if we run out of things to say, I've got a few prompts that we could do. And then and the therapist is going to be checking in on this as well.
Oh, okay.
And also, I want to do another scene with Cromitty going to the therapist, but you go with him so that you're in the scene.
Yes. Now we should, if this is going to happen, we should give this therapist a name.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got a name. It could just be Nick, the therapist, but.
Yeah, we're pretending. I think we're not. I think the listeners may guess it's Nick, but I don't think we want it to be Nick. So
I'm just really trying to remember what I did last time. I think I kind of vaguely based him on a Kenny Everett character called Quentin Pose, who was a sort of pseudo-intellectual kind of like on an obscure TV channel analysing things. So maybe Quentin might be quite a good one too.
All right, Dr. Quentin?
Dr. Quentin, even better, yeah.
Yeah, Toppy's got a Quentin, but well, he used to until he was eaten by a hamster. Probably, we don't know. He might come back, but we haven't got one. I'm trying to think. Did I ever have a Quentin in Sutton Park?
Well, I used to think Crispin was a corruption of Quentin Crisp.
Yeah, it was.
Because he was gay. I just assumed that was the idea.
Well, there's Quentin Collins in Dark Shadows, but Toppy, yes, we used to have if you ever seen any clips of Sutton Park where there's a very flamboyant dinosaur, he was Crispin, but he was named after Quentin Crisp.
Yes, he's a fascinating guy. I can't get enough of what few interviews with him survive. But I did name Quentin Quill, off of Quentin Crisp. In fact, I wished I could have used that name, but I said, no, I can't. I got to call him something else. So I said, Quentin Quill.
I did have a lot of the puppets on Sutton Park. I had two versions of, and I think I had two Crispins, and my friend Lee, who's often on Sutton Park, although we don't know him now. He did a very flamboyant Crispin with a big sparkly sort of costume, and he was sort of based on a comedian over here called Julian Clary, who is a famous gay comedian over here.
Who did an interview with Quentin Crisp years ago. He went over there, and of course, from one sort of a very early gay person to a prolific, famous gay person to a slap bang up to date famous gay person. Yeah, it was an interesting meeting of minds.
Yeah, and I think Crispin, the character in Sutton Park, allowed us to be a bit flamboyant, where maybe...
I remember his head coming off and you saying, oh, look, he gives a good head.
Oh, my God. No, Sutton Park didn't get blue very often. But every once in a while.
Time, it was a good clean show for all the family.
I'm not sure it was. It was about swearing there was from Kerry when he was...
And yourself.
Oh.
Not as much, not in the way, not like Lee or Kerry, but my brother did as well. And that was probably more contentious than if he'd been caught. I noticed that I put some Sutton Park clips out recently, and the Cromitty that appeared in the clips was the second Cromitty, because his costume was the original Cromitty had like a green tunic, and the later one had more like a white squarey patterned one. But I don't know what happened to that one. I think the green one got a bit raggedy, but in the end it was less raggedy than its replacement, so it came back. He came back again. The old one came back again, but I still have a lot of the...
You should have done a multi-Cromitty story where he meets all the puppets all at once.
I probably did. I can't remember. I'm constantly forgetting what I did do. But anyway, so yes, this is for the diary episode, but we ought to probably get on with actually recording the main attraction. Yes. So listeners, yes, we do have other things to be doing. So we can't stop around chatting with you guys. We have to get on with business. So yes, well, so say hello to the listeners.
Hello, listeners.
Hello.
Yeah. They will be back, but
what, the listeners or us?
Well, debatable. I don't know. Listeners may desert me. Who knows? Although,
all right, I'll be in the green room.
Yes, you just get your makeup ready, get all your costumes on.
Fabulous
Your
for radio. Yeah. I did actually. We did take part in a radio show once where there was a woman in the. I think it was recorded in the church, and there was a woman in the front row who had her hair done and makeup done. I don't think she quite twigged it was on the radio.
Okie dokie. We'll move on to whatever comes up next. It might even be you again, Nick, but somewhere in your house, but we'll see what happens.
Well, yeah.
Okie dokie. Hi, listeners. We're now at Nick's house. It's the evening, and we were recording with Toppy. We had a little bit of trouble with internet, didn't we, at my parents' today?
We did, yes.
But we got through it in the end, and then we came back here, and Ali's here. Hi, Ali.
Hello.
And then we had a nice takeout.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Yeah.
I had.
Thank you, Paul.
Oh well, that's it's a little treat for myself as much as anything. I had chicken spring rolls and wonton soup and a nice curry, but it's from the Chinese restaurant, so Chinese curries are always slightly different, but they're always very yummy. You also look good, Nick. What did you have?
I had chicken in garlic sauce. Which, I had it before, but I couldn't remember what it was like. But it was very tasty.
Yeah.
Went down well.
And now we've just been watching Scream 5, but Scream 2022. I do understand that sometimes they think people won't go and see it because it's got a number at the end, and they think, well, I haven't seen the other four, but you didn't really need to see the other four. But it was a continuation, so I don't know what you could have called it, really. But did you enjoy it, Nick?
I did, actually, yeah. I mean, it's been, I think we were in Devizes Road, that's our previous home, 10 years ago when we saw the Scream 4, which impressed me a lot. And I mean, they all serve a familiar pattern, but unlike other sequels, I like them because they know they're a sequel, and whereas I feel other sequels kind of, they kind of genuinely think they can sort of, kind of fool the audience into. Scream makes no bones about the fact that it's a sequel, and it's kind of knowingly winking to the audience that you've seen this before, and even the characters try to second guess what's coming next, which I think is quite fun.
They made some big decisions about cast, about characters staying or going.
Major character, because I was introduced to the Screams by yourself in 2000. I think you took me when we were at a Doctor Who convention in Coventry. In 2000, you took me to see Scream 3, and I think you then showed me 1 and 2. I think 3. The only thing I remember about 3 is it because I remember the Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell. But the only thing I remember about 3 is the fact that it had Sarah Gellar.
It also had Carrie Fisher playing somebody who gets mistaken for Carrie Fisher.
It's the thing. I think why the Screams are rather good is they take themselves seriously effectively, but there is in the telling of the story there is a very much a twinkle in the eye to the ongoing franchise, and in this world of franchises that take themselves incredibly seriously, it's actually nice to have a franchise that knows it's a franchise.
We've also got some lucky fortune cookies. There's one for you. There's only 2, but
yes,
I'm going to open mine. See what it says.
And we've also brought back some Sutton Park redos, which you've asked me to do. Which we've been knocking off, and we found one of the missing episodes. So literally, there's only a couple of tapes from 2000 to find, and that's it. Everything is captured, and I'm making a bit of a hash of. But no, well done to everyone on Scream 5. It was nice to see some of the old characters. The kids did well.
Mine's interesting. Mine says, "You will soon meet the person you admire." That's a bit of a kick in the teeth for all the people who already know me, though, isn't it? Sorry, Nick, I obviously don't admire you enough. Sorry, Ali. Obviously not you too.
I always think that these fortune cookies, no offence to anyone, they look like ears.
Yeah.
No. They look like saggy boobies.
They shaggy boobies.
What is your? Oh yes, you got to open.
Well, no, I don't eat it.
Don't eat it. Don't eat it. That would be very good luck. You will soon choke on the on this message.
You will choke on this message.
You self-destruct.
Down go the glasses.
Further down go the glasses. Good things will come to you in due course of time. Well, that goes for anything.
That's very general.
That's a little. I think yours was slightly better.
Yeah.
I hope
it's somebody impressive.
Like the person you admire.
It'll have to be somebody very impressive because I've already met quite a few special people. My glasses are having trouble because we've also been supplied with jelly babies and wine gums. And the glasses I'm wearing are one of my old pairs that slips off my nose, and I'm peering into the packet.
There's a policy in this household to make sure everyone is fed and watered.
Yeah, my jelly baby, my glasses tried to escape into the packet of jelly babies, but we're going to watch some season 4 Blake 7 in a minute, aren't we?
Yes, we've. Did you want to continue to watch them in order?
Yeah.
Well, we're doing Power, and which has got an episode with Juliet Hammond Hill, an actress who is in a series Ali and I have been watching called Secret Army, and she plays one of the resistance leaders in it. So it's going to be busman's holiday, really.
Well, we better get watching.
I have to say one thing about Power is hello. One thing about Power is Juliet Hammond Hill was a bit of a well. This won't surprise any of the viewers who know me as a bit of a
tart.
But I actually I did write to her, write her a fan letter, and she replied, and I still have a signed photograph of her.
Well, we've had quite a bit of wine. If we're going to be watching some more, we better put you away, listeners. But I'll speak to you later.
We'll put you away in the box, listeners.
Yeah, Nick might not be here, but Nick and Ali may have gone by the time I speak to you again. But we shall see. I don't know what.
We will come back.
We would have passed on, would we?
I don't know.
We would have passed on.
I don't know.
To the next chapter.
But no, thank you very much for bringing Screen 5. They're always fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll bring when and if they make 6, I'll bring that.
Well, if it's 6, I'm hoping you'll do the decent thing and come to the cinema with us.
Yeah. Okay. More in a bit, listeners.
That's what they've always said.
Hi, listeners. It's me. It's nearly bedtime on Sunday, the 24th of April, 2022. I finished my time at Nick's and came back to my parents. What have I done today? Actually, I caught up with Callum. I completely forgot. We had trouble with the internet. I totally forgot to record anything with him. So we missed out on him, I'm afraid. But otherwise I've been quite lazy, having naps and things. I've been doing editing. But there's not been a lot to report. Apologies for not recording with Callum. But I do have a quiz that I recorded a little bit earlier with Callum from a previous chat. So I think this is a good time to put that in, I think, because we can't do without something to mark that occasion. I'm sorry I didn't record anything. It was the internet has been a bit funny here, so we decided not to record. But let's listen to this quiz now, and when we come back, it'll be Monday, I would have thought. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on Monday either. No, we'll see. All right, have a listen, and we'll be back soon. Here we go. What is the name of Captain Jack Aubrey's ship in the 2003 film Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World?
I don't know, but we did go and see it.
Did we?
Yeah, it was Russell Crowe, wasn't it?
Don't know what it's called. Probably the Poseidon. Question 2: which 2 actors play the firefighting McCaffrey brothers in the 1991 film Backdraft? That's the Beatles. No. I thought
it was Brad Pitt in that. I can't remember. I definitely didn't see it. I know Ron Howard was the director, wasn't he?
Is it about
Firefighters.
Or Val Kilmer. Was he one? Yeah.
I'm thinking of Backbeat or something, which is the beat.
Backbeat, The Word Is on Street.
Question 3. Cork Tip, Zigzag, and Captain Bagshaw are all characters in which Carry On film?
Sounds like Carrying Up the Khyber.
Question 4. Penguins called Skipper, Bryce, and Private appear in which animated movie? Ice Age, Wall-E,
Ice Age.
Happy Feet, or Madagascar? Well, Happy Feet.
It's Happy Feet Penguins as well, is it?
I think if it's just about penguins, we should say Happy Feet. Question 5. In what year did Disney release Cinderella? 1970, 1950, 1960, or 1940?
Oh, I'd say 40. Those films were coming out then, weren't they? Those cartoony ones.
Question 6. What is the first name of Mr. Darcy in the 2001 film Bridget Jones's Diary? It's something like John or remember. I've seen it, but I'm not going to remember. Question 7. Tangled was released in which year? 2010,
Tangled?
2010, 2005, 1995, or 2000. I can't even remember. I think that's a cartoon one as well. Let's say 2010. Doesn't feel like... I can't remember what it's about or anything. What do you think?
I'll say 2010, but I've never heard of it.
Question 8. Alec Guinness played Lieutenant Colonel Nicholson in which 1957 World War II film? The Guns of Navarone or something. Is that about World War II?
I thought it might be.
Dam Busters.
Go for the first one then.
Question 9. Who played Larry Jones, Laura Lorraine? Who played Laurie Jones, Laura Lorraine in the 1944 musical film Pin-Up Girl? Never heard of Pin-Up Girl. Tina Durbin.
I thought Jane Russell was
Jane Russell. Question 10. Who played Brad Pitt's wife, Teresa Mills, in the film Seven? Wasn't that what's his name from Coldplay's wife? What's her name?
Apple.
Perfume made of my scent.
Kim Basinger. Gwyneth Paltrow.
We did see that. Question 12. What colour is Ariel's fin in The Little Mermaid? White, blue, red, or green? I don't know. You might have seen it. Blue. Green. Question 13. In which decade did Disney release Bambi? 1950s, 1940s, 1970s, 1960s? Well, that's either 40s or 50s.
Yeah. 40s. I think some of these came out actually during the war.
Question 14. I should know this, but I don't think I do. What is the surname of Carrie in Stephen King's novel Carrie? I don't think.
I don't know that one.
No. Smith. Question 15. Who played Bill Sykes in the 1968 film Oliver?
Ollie Reed.
16. Who plays the role of James Clubber Lang in the 1982 film Rocky III? Don't think I've ever seen a Rocky film.
I don't recognise that character. It was what Apollo Creed, wasn't it? It was
not the one that is not that one with Mr. T.
Not the one with the Russian in. It might be Mr. T then, because he was in the third one.
Mr. T, the name of the actor. Yes, it's B.A. Bracken.
Yes, yeah.
Question 17. What was the title of British actor Oliver Reed's last film? Wasn't that?
Was it Gladiator?
Gladiator. 18. Who are the only two characters portrayed by the same actors in all 6 Star Wars films? Is it? I don't know that the man who plays like
C-3PO and all that.
I don't know. I don't know if he's in all of that. I don't know if that character's in every single one of those Star Wars films.
Carrie Fisher, because I know they superimposed her, didn't they?
Yeah, but that's probably beyond the 6. They took that's.
All right.
I don't know where this question's even come from, because there's about 9 now. Because there was the original 3, then there were the 3 that came out in the 90s. So I guess actually, or it could be the Wookiee guy. Some of these people have died more recently, but I don't know. The Wookiee was in all of them. About the person who played. I don't know.
Harrison Ford.
But the same actors. Just a minute. Who are the only 2 characters portrayed by the same actor? Well, I'd say characters. I'd say CP3O. Is that right?
Oh, so you don't have like a younger version or an older version, basically what you're saying.
By the same actors, and also R2D2. I think maybe those.
Yeah, because like Ewan McGregor plays Alec Guinness, doesn't he?
C-3PO. That's right. Question 19. Which singer plays Chicago police officer Sharon Pogue in the 2001 film Angel Eyes? Don't know. I was going to say. No. He went out. Who's the actress who was associated with Ben Affleck?
Reese Witherspoon? No.
No, I was thinking of the one who had her own blood round her neck. Had a. I don't think it's her. I just know that she did do thrillers because the Bone Collector. But I don't. Question 20. Which US state is the setting for the 1971 film The Last Picture Show? Which I've never seen, so I think have to be a guess.
Texas, I thought.
Texas.
But it could be wrong.
She was also a singer, I'm thinking of, with Ben Affleck, who did my favourite song, Play, Gotta Make That Song, Play It All Night Long.
J-Lo.
Yeah. She was in some thrillers because she was an actress as much as a singer when she started. Sort of. I think, and I remember them saying that the singing sort of distracted from the acting. Okay, question 1. That boat, the ship in Master and Commander, is called the HMS Surprise.
Surprise.
The 2 actors playing the firefighting McCaffrey brothers were Kurt Russell and William Baldwin.
Got them wrong.
Yeah, you also lose your carry-on badge.
Oh dear.
Because Cork Tip, Zigzag, and Captain Bagshaw
on the jungle.
No, Follow That Camel.
Oh God.
It's debatable whether that's
Phil Silvers.
Well, isn't that one and Don't Lose Your Head? It's kind of debate. It's almost debatable that they're ever carry-on films. Or they had carry-on stuck on them after they later on in production or something. Question 4. Penguins. Oh, can't believe this. Neither of us got this one right. The penguins. Penguins called Skipper, Rice, and Private. They don't appear in Ice Age or Happy Feet, but in Madagascar.
Happy Teat.
What? Oh, this is horrible. In what year did Disney release Cinderella? 1940, 1950, 1960. It was 1950.
Okay.
It was almost the 40s.
Yeah, near the 40s.
What is the first name of Mr. Darcy? It was Mark. I said John, but that's only a guess. So, Tangled was released in 2010. That wasn't a bad.
I think we got that. I think we said
got that one. Yeah, even not bad. As soon as I can't even remember what the film's about or anything about it. Question 8. Alec Guinness played Lieutenant Colonel Nicholson in
Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yes.
That only just come to me now. That's it.
Sort of see him looking sweaty. Question 9. Who played Laurie Jones? It was Betty Grable. I said Dina Durbin. Question 10. Who played Hitman? Oh, we didn't even do this one. I skipped this one. See if you get this one right. I skipped the question 10. This is a real cock-up, listeners. Question 10 was, who played Hitman Martin Q. Blank in the 1997 film Grosse Pointe Blank?
Oh, it was John Cusack.
Right. You're right to get that one. I might have got that. I think I have seen it. Who played Brad Pitt's wife in Seven? It was Gwyneth Paltrow. Got that right.
Yes.
The colour of Ariel's skin is green. You said that. In which decade was Bambi released? It was the 1940s. It was Carrie White in Carrie, which kind of rings a bell now I hear it. Bill Sykes was played by Oliver Reed. James Clubber Lang was played by Mr. T. All I know is that he is in a Rocky film. I don't even know. It was Gladiator, Oliver Reed's last film. The only two characters in those first 6 Star Wars films was C-3PO and R2-D2. Oh, wow. We're good. We've gone through awful to being quite good at this end of the quiz. I didn't even take this in. Which singer plays Chicago police officer Sharon Pogue? I didn't even take in the and it was Jennifer Lopez. But we did sort of put that as our answer. I just couldn't remember what her name was until we did work out what her name was. I would have gone for that even more if I'd have noticed singer, because I don't know many singers women singers who are actors in 2001. Question 20. Which state is the setting for The Last Picture Show? It was Texas. So I just need to count these up.
Texas.
So question 1, no. Question 2, no. Question 3, no. Question 4, no. Question 5, no. Question 6, no. Question 7, yes. Question 8, no. Question 9, no. Question 10, despite me not reading it at the time. John Cusack, yes. Gwyneth Paltrow, yes. Green Finn, yes. Bambi, yes. Oliver Reed, yes. Mr. T, yes. C-3PO, yes. Jennifer Lopez, yes. And Texas, yes. Just scraped in at a 10 out of 10. Sorry, 10 out of 20, not 10 out of 10. Oh dear, I need to lie down.
Easy.
Well, so we managed half marks. That was entirely due to the second half of that quiz. But I think, yeah. Oh dear.
I'm down TV's her crib. I could never get that out of my crib at all. It's just double touched me. Oh dear. Poor girl. Was it you that suggested we play cards?
You're right, yeah. I don't care if I win or not. Well, I like it if I win, but I don't care if I lose.
Well, I can't say it's my greatest worry in the world.
I don't get to play cards with Joe now as we only meet on
No.
Zoom.
Deuces. Why have you given me 2 aces?
I can pick, if I put some down, I can pick those up, can't I?
Well, I don't think, I disagree with you completely, because I always think you have to pick up your first, but, if we all... I always think you have to pick your card up first. But if we all do the same...
Well, you haven't got anything down.
No, but pick up this card first.
No.
And then put down.
No, well then you can't pick that up and that.
No, I know you can't, because I don't think you could pick that up. But if we all know you've done it, then we can do it.
I don't see what else you can do. What are you saying?
You've got to miss that. You can't take from there.
Well, I put some cards down, I take from there.
Yeah, but your go should start with picking one up, I think.
Why?
Well, as I say, because it makes it harder. The way you won't let me have come up for two.
No, that's not.
You see?
That's not.
That shortens the game, gets it through.
No, we don't want to get shortened.
Well, anyway, we can do that, Paul, if we want. So that's a king.
It's the same for everybody.
Yeah, well, as it is, that's what I'm saying, as long as we know that. Sorry, Paul.
Hang on. It's not aces.
No, it isn't, is it? Start again. Take that back again. Not concentrating.
No, criticise other people and cheat yourself.
Oh, no, I wasn't cheating.
Oh, yes, you were.
No,
We saw it, didn't we,
I
Paul?
wasn't cheating.
Deliberate cheating.
No, it was a mistake.
No, you never acknowledged it as a mistake.
I have just acknowledged it as a mistake.
No.
Hello, Cromitty speaking. How can I help? Hi, Cromitty, it's me, Paul. How are you? Just calling from my parents' house. Oh, hi, Paul. How are you? Oh, it's good to hear from you. Are you having a nice trip? Yeah. I suppose I'm about halfway through it now. It's Monday the 25th of April. Oh, I know, Paul. Yes, I do know the date. I'm just telling the listeners. Oh, I see, yes. Oh, okay. Hi, listeners. I'm sure they said hello then. I'm sure they did, Paul. So what have you been up to? I've been recording. I saw Nick. I spoke to Troby, and I spoke to I spoke to Toppy, and I spoke to Callum, but I forgot to record with him. Oh dear, Paul, what was wrong with you? Oh, the internet was playing up, so I decided it wasn't a good idea to record, and then suddenly thought, oh, what about the diary episode? So I played the listeners a quiz instead. Oh, well, that's good. A natural break. What else is happening this episode? What coming up? I don't know. It's the trouble with these diary episodes. Depends on whether exciting things happen or whether they don't. There might be some card game playing. Oh, playing cards with your mother and father. That's right, yeah. Oh, well, that's always a dramatic occurrence. Yeah, it is. I've got some more recording coming up. Well, that's if the internet plays ball. Have you been having problems with it again, Paul? Well, to a certain extent. And yet when I've been loading up episodes to release, they've just loaded up like a dream and no problem at all. I don't know if it's a certain time of the day, like whether the afternoon's worse than the morning or something. Yeah. But I don't know. Well, anything going on your end? No, it's pretty quiet, Paul. It's like you said, empty nest syndrome. They've all gone, haven't they? Well, Toby's still there. Oh, I know, but I barely see him. I hear from Dealey. Yet Uncle John spends most of his time in the Magpie Hut. Icky's over at the spaceship with Uck. Obviously Martin's with Tallulah, and August is with Bettina. So, yes, it's quite quiet. I fell asleep at my desk yesterday afternoon, and the next thing I knew, it was 10 o'clock at night, and I had to decide whether I was going to have dinner or whether I was going to go straight to bed. What did you decide? I decided to have dinner, but and then I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't the best plan, but there we go. I hope the smell of you cooking didn't wake Toby up. No. I have a microwave in the laboratory. I did it down here. There were no smells that reached him. Yeah. Apparently he doesn't smell like he used to. No, I think he smells quite good these days. No, I mean, since we had the maybe COVID back in the autumn, he says he doesn't smell. He doesn't have the same sense of smell he used to. When I used to make toast, he would suddenly get very upset. Oh, yes. The smell of toast after 7 o'clock in the evening. Yes, that would make him very furious. Oh, yes, well, apparently I can do it now because you can't smell it. Oh, well, that's fine. Good. I'm glad. Well, let Yeti Uncle John know that I asked after him. I might call him later in the week if I have a quiet afternoon. Oh, yes, Paul, I'll let him know. And you'll be back. I'll be back Friday or Saturday or Sunday. I'm really not quite sure yet. Oh, never mind. I'll let you know. Oh, good, Paul. Well, it'll be good to see you. Good to see you too, Cromitty. Anyway, I suppose I should let you go. Yes, Paul. I'm sure you've got episodes to be editing. Yes. I'm actually going to edit an episode that I only recorded just the other day. Anyway, right. I'll speak to you later, Cromitty. Right, Paul. Thanks for checking in. No probs. All right. Bye for now. Bye. Goodbye, Paul. Goodbye.
So, listeners, I've got Warren here today.
Hello.
We're just doing a little diary entry for my my visit down in Salisbury. I've been bumping into people and talking and recording. And listeners, Warren and I are about to record an episode, which is, well, we're going to be talking about TV, but in a slightly different way to how we've done it before. So a little story as well as a TV chat. So. But
I'm dressed appropriately. I think
I'll be fine. I don't think anyone's going to be too surprised. But how are you doing?
I'm fair to middling, actually. I'm like the Pillsbury Doughboy. See, I don't remember the Pillsbury Doughboy. Sorry, I don't know why I used that reference. But do you remember the Pillsbury Doughboy?
Was he a little animated? Did he look a bit like the Texaco Man, but with a chef's hat?
And no petrol, yeah.
No petrol. Yeah.
And you used to poke him in the tummy and he used to giggle. That's how I feel.
That sounds like me.
That's how I feel today. I feel like you could poke me in the tummy and I could giggle.
Well, that's better giggling than not giggling, I expect.
That's clearly easy for you to say.
But I've been playing Fortnite with Mr. Trowbridge earlier.
You've been playing 2 weeks.
Yes, we had a win. Well, when I say we had a win, I was dead by the time that I was well and truly gone. But he won anyway, so I got to take the glory too.
But the thing with that is he does that a lot. He likes to sacrifice people a lot so he can go on and win. I've been there. I've had the counselling. It's not an easy journey.
I think he did save me at least once, though, so I shouldn't grumble too much. But
he likes you because you're younger than me. He usually throws me under the bus, metaphorically and physically. Yes,
I did get to have the big battle bus and drive around.
Oh, that's brilliant! Love the bus.
The listeners, the battle bus, you can just drive into buildings and knock them down, and it's very therapeutic. It's quite nice.
I quite like the reversing. On the bus,
yeah. It's quite nice being able to drive like boats and things because obviously I don't drive, so I feel like I can say I've driven now. But,
you can go to Legoland and get your driver's license.
Yeah. I think I think there was one game where I got 2 battle buses, not at the same time, but I picked up one side of the island.
Straddled them, were you? You straddled your battle buses.
I think I was so sort of in a destructive mindset of crashing into buildings that the second time, obviously, you're further in the game and things are moving quicker, and then suddenly I realised I'm knocking down buildings, but I'm stuck in the storm, and I stuck in some sort of ravine where I can't. It's not that easy to get out, it wasn't paying attention. So,
dear listener, I have to say, this pyromaniac that you're listening to speaking at the moment has a penchant for detonating anything that moves, haven't you? Anything that explodes.
When I get a bit bored and kind of like, I need to have an explosion now.
Need to spruce it up a bit.
Yeah, especially there's those ones that you got now where you can go and drop 3 little bombs and then move away and then go press the button and see it. Oh, look, boom!
You quite like a Big Bang, don't you, Paul?
I do. Especially, and my favourite, listeners, there's this petrol station with about, I don't know, because most petrol stations have 4 pumps. Some of them have 8, but then there's one that has probably about 16 at least. And the thing is, when one goes, it triggers all the others, and it's really quite wonderful.
You see him there landing, lighting his tiny wick, and off he goes with a big bang.
That tiny. They're going to use this episode, the police, when I'm suspected of when they find out they're going to look. He's admitting to it basically.
The city of Salisbury is burning to the ground. Who could it possibly be?
This is virtual fires, but I'm not taking it into the real life.
Did we see a shy Yeti with a gallon of petrol and a packet of Swan Vestas sneaking down the dark alleys?
That's anyway. We'll get into that.
That's another conversation.
But
disappearing up the cul-de-sac.
We were realizing that it's only about 4 or 5 weeks before, because again, listeners, fortnight changes every 3 months, and you just get used to everything, and then things change, and it's about 5 weeks until it changes again. So I think because they didn't do that much change between the previous season and this season, because they totally reversed the island and had to redesign the whole island, that perhaps they kind of didn't do that many changes this season, and then but I think this season's been slightly shorter than usual, so I'm expecting something impressive in June. But,
aren't we all?
And
sun's out. We're expecting something impressive.
Meanwhile,
come along.
Fortnight, yes. Get back in.
Back into Fortnite. Yes, I forgot about that. Yes.
Big bangs and all that sort of thing. It's turning into carry on. But anyway, listeners, we're going to have to. We've got serious recording to do, so we can't be chatting with you all night. So we'll be gone. But it's been nice talking to you, Warren. And
nice just talking to you, Martin? No, this is the wrong day. Which day is this? It's Paul.
It's good. If I say, I'm talking to him tomorrow. So
heavens to Murgatroyd!
Yeah, sit down, fan yourself.
You all have beards. It's really difficult to identify you.
I was going to say I'm the silly one, but Martin's pretty silly too. When he's not on his own show, but he's always very silly when he
comes onto other people's shows, doesn't he? Yes.
Starts singing in things on mine, but
does he?
Well, we usually talk about music, so it's fair enough. But I have threatened to sort of get him to sing the songs at the end rather than Nick, or for them to do a duet or something. But
oh goodness sake, don't get Andrew to sing if you ever get him on the show.
We'll just pretend we're not in. Like, oh, sorry, no, the internet's down. Sorry. No.
Put the shutters up. He's going to sing. No,
I'm talking to you by pigeon. That's not me.
He's the only person I know who can curdle milk in the udder with his singing.
Dear. They really shouldn't keep that cow in the living room, though. It's
absolutely not. No,
it'll start eating their DVD collection.
Oh heavens, no! It'll have food for life, I tell you.
We ought to start talking about our fictional DVD collection. So we'll go off and do that, listeners. And I'll be speaking to Warren in a second, and I'll be speaking to you, listeners, after this bit of music that's coming up now. Okay.
Hello, it's me, Yeti Uncle John. Who's that? Yeti Uncle John, it's me, Paul. I'm Paul. What are you doing? I'm calling you. I'm just checking in to see how you are. Oh, well, that's nice. I'm doing all right. Yeah. Are you checking up on me? It's the Uncle John. I'm not checking up on you. I'm really not. I'm just checking. Well, I'm just saying how you are. I've been away for a week. Had you even noticed? I had noticed. Yes, but I've been busy. I've got things I'm doing. Yes, I know you're a very busy man. But you can't tell the listeners. No, I can't tell the listeners what you've been up to. Listeners, the trouble is, we record in advance. These diary episodes get released very much, soon after the event. Whereas we've been recording stuff, which, well, it's a little, you're a little bit behind as far as real life is concerned. Oh dear. Yes, that sounds confusing. What I'm trying to say is what you were trying to tell me, Mitty Uncle John, is that you have a slight lifestyle change that has occurred, but the listeners haven't caught up with that, so we don't want to speak about it yet. Yes, lifestyle change. It's not quite that, is it? Well, no, but you have got employment. I have got employment. Yes. How is that employment going? It's yes, fine. Yes. I've got a lot of things on my plate, listeners, as ever. Yes. What day is it, Paul? That's Wednesday, 27th of April, 2022. Oh, that's all right. I thought it was. Just wanted to make sure. I lose track of things sometimes. Yes, it's how busy I am. Yes, I can imagine. What have you been up to? I've seen Nick. I've seen Mum and Dad. I've talked to quite a lot of people online. Troby and Warren, and I did talk to Callum, but I forgot to talk to him. If you forgot to talk to him, well, I forgot to record talking to him. And I'm about to record, I think, with Martin for his podcast. That's coming up later today. And then when are you coming back? Coming back soon, around the weekend. Haven't decided the exact day yet. Depends. It depends. Oh, that's fascinating. Anything else? Well, actually, yes. I wanted you to announce something. You wanted me to announce something? Yes, we've got a Sutton Park clip coming up. Just to keep things interesting. Yeah. Well, I guess so. Okay, yes. Enough of your shadiness. Just introduce the Sutton Park clip, please. Oh dear. Listeners, we have a Sutton Park clip coming up next from the 1990s, probably. I think you'll find it fascinating. Thanks, Shady Uncle John. Is that all? Is that what you wanted? That's all I wanted. I'll see you in a day or two. Thank you very much. All right. Enjoy the clip, listeners. Yes, enjoy the clip, listeners, and then I'll be back afterwards. Yes, and I won't, because, it's not my show. Oh dear. Did you get out the wrong side of the bed this morning? Actually, yes. I nearly squashed one of the magpies at the same time. But you're not living in the magpie hut. Oh, I've been, because the weather's getting warmer. I like it. I like it outdoors, sort of outdoors. Magpies aren't so keen, but there we go. Oh dear. Let's just play the clip. Yeah, let's just do that.
Upon you, Bacchus. When I am reborn, I shall deal with you. May a curse be upon you.
back to business. Old Chandler is down there, busying himself with food, probably, and Basil's upstairs. So all I have to do is just sneak past Basil, get into his room, and find the thing. Brilliant.
You want custard on your custard, Harry?
We hide it.
Mate the narrator.
Oh, you? What?
What are you looking for?
Nothing in particular.
The axe handle?
Yes.
Oh, that's okay. I'll let you get on with it then. That's not an axe handle. That's not an axe. Ooh.
No, not what happened last time.
You have to be careful, look. There's lots of sleeping puppets down there. They're probably filthy loot replicas, don't they? Can you see it? You warmer.
Ah!
No, that's a claw. It's next to it. There.
Yes. The handle.
Oh, shit.
Perfect.
Here comes Basil. Oh, I'm going out of here, bugger.
Hello. Hello there.
Fancy seeing you here.
Yes, hello.
Yes, and... Hello. True nature showing through again, is it?
No, I'm just busying myself around Paul Chandler's room, just checking up on everything.
What are you looking for this time?
Nothing in particular. I haven't lost anything, not since my virginity. Yes.
You don't have a handle on anything then?
Oh, only the umbrella.
I wonder.
Anyhow, I'll just be off then, shall I? Yes. Can I get past, please?
Wait till I ask the questions.
All right.
Could I be asked the questions?
Chandler really must do something about his washing. Oh, he's a disgusting man.
His personal habits leave something to be desired.
It's not even his own. Anyway.
Don't tell me that Harry's...
You never know, especially after what's happened in the woods. Not that I associate.
Me, the narrator. Oh, hello.
Yes.
What's going on about Lisa? Are you going to...
What? No.
Sorry.
Where did you hear about that? You bastard, you've been reading the script again. Yes.
Oh, yes. Have you something to tell me?
And Bakov had to leave quickly.
And Bakov had to leave quickly. I don't have Lisa kidnapped, and I don't have any
quicker than that.
Which I intend to
quicker than that.
No.
Quicker than that.
No.
And Bakov had to leave.
Wouldn't you have?
And Bakov had to leave quickly.
Get out of here.
Without a... Quicker than that.
I'll go through the window.
Okay then. Bye.
Bye.
No, Mr. Clive.
It's 12:30 a.m.
Mr. Clive.
It's 12:30 a.m.
Put you somewhere different. Someone else is going to talk to you about what you said.
It's 12:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Oi, Clive. Clive, it's me, Ramesses. You remember me, don't you?
It's 12:31 a.m.
You go back a long way. What? Why have you been saying what you've been saying, eh? I mean, you weren't really with Gordon Goss all day, were you? Well, we've got proof. We've got proof that he was at the library with me. We've got proof that he was seen by yourself. Come on, you got to admit it. You weren't with him. You'll just get yourself into trouble. It might even mean that they'll unprogram you, take out your batteries and stuff.
It's 12:32 a.m.
No, if you tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you won't get into trouble. You got to tell what really happened.
It's 12:33
The
a.m.
truth? Yes. Who's this? Who is this? Speak to me. Is this Crocus 69? Back off. Back off, what are you doing? What are you doing? You've got you. I know you've gotten you. You did what? You were here in my room. You took what? Lisa, back off. No, don't ring up. Don't. That was back off. That was back off. I don't quite know what was saying. He was saying he just left the house. Something about finding the axe. The axe that... Oh God, no. Something about Lisa. What's he going to do? I've got to warn Basil. If he's going to do something against Lisa, then he'll want to know. Basil? Basil? Oh, how did it all begin?
It's 12:36 a.m.
You were alone, weren't you? What? You've got a headache. Oh, look, I'll get you a pill. You're going to tell us the truth, right? Oh, you got a pill for Clive. He's feeling ill. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh dear. Who is Clive? Listen, Clive, you've got to tell the... Clive? Where are you going? Where's he gone? Clive! Basil?
What? Oh, there.
What are you doing in my room? Where's Harry?
I've been watching television. He's around.
There's drink on... You've not been feeding him with drink.
Just a little.
Whole bottle of water.
Oh! Bottles, my friend. Bottles.
Everywhere, all over my room. He's got a phone call. You've been drinking.
Just a little.
Well, I've just had a phone call from Backhoff saying about Lisa. Your precious Lisa, she's in trouble.
The swine!
He's going to do something to her. I don't know what he's going to do. She's in terrible danger.
I'll do something to him. We'll be off.
Well, be off then. Well, I can't come.
Come on.
No.
Why not?
No, I've got other things to do.
The game is afoot.
No, not now. Listen, where is Harry? What have you done with him? Lisa's your problem.
I don't know. He was around a while ago.
Lisa, it's your
You mean you're turning down an adventure?
I'm not turning it down, but not at this time of night.
Oh, pish and tosh. Come on.
No, listen. Where is Harry? Harry, you all right? What's he been doing to you?
Been working on your problem.
I've been molested severely, but it was consensual.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it.
I've just saved you from this person, and now you're having a drink with him.
Yeah, I know, but you know...
I don't understand you at all, Harry.
But he bought a longer chain.
Listen, this is quite out of order. Lisa is your problem. You deal with her. Just deal with her yourself.
You're trying to suggest that your friendship means nothing now?
I'm trying to suggest that Lisa is your problem. We've been looking after her for years, and now she's your problem. Backhoff is your problem.
I'll tell you, Backhoff is your problem.
Yeah, well, I wash my hands of both of you.
He's your adversary.
I wash my hands of all of you.
Yeah, best to wash your hands.
Both of you.
It's godliness. Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me, it's next to impossible.
Yeah.
Quickly. Listen, Clive, they'll be looking for you outside. I opened the window and I slipped out and I slipped back in again. Yeah, out there in the garden, as I look. Listen, Clive, I don't care what they make you say. You don't tell them, alright? Remember, you promised to stand by me. All that stuff they were saying about having evidence, it's bollocks, mate, alright? You know who to trust. It's me. I'm doing this for a reason. You've got to stick by me. We're all up shit creek. Do you understand? Clive? Oh dear. Gone a little bit quiet, have we? Well, now you won't be able to say anything. Must have damaged him as I brought him through the window. Still,
If he can't speak, he can't do any damage. Well, you may as well stay there, mate.
Harry, who was paid you to do this? You stop it. Who was paid? He's no. Oh my! It's no good. He's like he's a secretary thingy. He's like he's. No, we don't want to know about this. Listen, you sort it out. Us? Teach him a lesson. Someone. Do you think this could be the control?
There's no laughing matter.
It was for us.
What? Him taking his clothes off? Were you found that funny?
No, what came later was hilarious.
Yeah, well, that was later. That was later. This is now. Well, I thought you were going off to save Lisa.
I am. I want to watch this first.
Oh, blimey. So
well, I'm as concerned as you can be. She can look after herself.
Back off with...
I wouldn't use your time. I'd just like to say that you're the most likely candidate since you hold those shares. Therefore, you would be able to...
Absolutely, you fiend.
What? No, I didn't. No, nothing to do with me. Let's watch the bit where he's tied up. I regret letting him out now.
Very well, we shall, Hugh Hefner hasn't found shares in this, has he? Yes. My turn. Wait, hold on. We still need some left for the enema. Yes, my turn. Right, here we go.
Morning. Hi. Listen. Harry's off in a minute. He'd have been off as far as I'm concerned, but, yes. Harry's going back to Neil to sort things out, try to talk him into stuff. And I'm off down to Guildford, because it does look, unfortunately, as if I'm going to have to move out of here. Can't say I'm too upset. It's been nice, but I can't remember half of it, so there you go. We're going down to Guildford to see. I'm trying to persuade him to, to help me house share. But what I really want to do is, if I get to live with Callum, I can find out exactly what's going on with him and the controller. Whether he's still. We've never been totally sure what hold the controller has on Callum, or whether he still has the hold. From what we hear about the controller failing on his races, it would seem maybe not him. I just want to be sure. I really need to be sure. Anyway, so we're going to have to go for just a look around. I'll see you later. We're going now. Come on.
We can take the whip.
Take whatever you like. Remember the last time you see this house, the way we're going?
Yes, I know. Oh well, goodbye house. Goodbye George. Goodbye George.
George? Who's George?
Oh,
George,
somebody I met. Yes, that's the one, yes.
Goodbye Basil. Say goodbye to Basil.
Goodbye Basil. Goodbye Basil.
You haven't been seeing George, have you? George is a Santa Claus. He was married, don't you?
No, just figment of my imagination.
Oh, Crispin rung up for you last night.
Oh yeah?
Crispin, yeah. Offered to send you his love.
Oh yes.
Anyway, you go back and you've got to be safe.
Right, well,
are you going to try and make up
having me.
Make up with Neil?
Well, I'll try and kill him, okay? And I'll let you know how it goes, okay?
Okay, well, just be careful.
Yes, we'll do. Use protection.
Listeners, it's Cuthbert here again. You have just been listening to a clip from some episodes of Sudden Park from mid-February 1998. We hope you enjoyed it. Coming up next, we have a big chat with Martin Holmes about all manner of things, and then we'll be talking with Harry and also with Mrs. Chandler before we conclude this edition. I had better stop chatting, there's a lot more coming up. Enjoy! Exclamation.
Hello, Martin. It's me. I'm just recording a bit of a diary episode.
A diary. Oh dear me, dear diary. How are you? I'm very well. I'm fine. Thank you very much. Nothing much happening with me. I know a diary. Yes.
Well, except for my 1990 diary, where all sorts of things were happening.
Mine just have tumbleweed blowing through them. I have the clearest. I have beautifully pristine diaries for year after year after year with nothing in them whatsoever. I use them as sketchbooks now, they get lines and numbers on the pictures, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I did used to buy diaries and often never even touch them, but I have found this one from 1990 where there's a bit more going on. But I'm visiting my parents and not really doing that much other than podcasting and recording. So I've been talking to a lot of people, and I've seen Nick and you and I have just been recording an episode that we can't discuss, but for visual and sound. But,
that old thing, yes. No, sorry, no one will have heard of that, Paul. Don't worry about it. No cats, no bags.
You were out walking this morning, were you?
I was indeed. My mate Sandy, who records with me as well. We try since I've been on Life's Scrap Ape. Paul, I've been on the old Scrap Ape of life. We've been sort of doing a 2/3 of the last of the summer wine. We're kind of the last of the carafe of wine, I suppose. Really, not quite the full bottle. But the two of us, he has made a point since I've been at a loose end quite often of making sure I get out of the house mostly once a week. Obviously, we do miss the odd week, but he has been dragging me out to I say the flesh pots of Stockport. No, that's not strictly true. To various walks, onto various walks, and yes, today we did a local one from my house. Which took us through up Lantern Pike, which is the hill which is at the back of my house, which theoretically when I moved here it was 35 minutes from my back door to the top, although as we discovered today we're both getting on a bit now because it's 20 years since I actually tried that walk. It's now 45 minutes to the top of the hill, and a lot of gasping and pausing for breath. But and then because it's so long since I did it, I came down the wrong path on the other side. We ran into two lovely old ladies who were lost, and we gave them some directions, which was really ridiculous because we were lost at the time as well. But but we sort of thought, well, we'll never see them again. And if we had run into them again, we sort of had this horrible vision of these two old ladies coming. They're the ones who sent us on that wrong. So we ended up. And then we ended because the whole purpose of these walks, as ever, is to go to a cafe. So we did. We ended up in a cafe. Had a very nice sandwich, cup of coffee, piece of cake, and I was back just in time to record with your good self. So yes, that was my morning today.
I remember when I did my big walk with a friend of mine down Office Dyke with. The only time I ever camped and actually sort of had the equipment
camping, tenting,
I remember my friend saying, "Well, you don't really want to, you need to travel light," and he was trying to encourage me not to take my video camera. This was in the early days of Sutton Park.
Well, the batteries were the size of two enormous carrier bags, weren't they, in those days?
Well, it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't really. I was just sort of within the sort of era where they were quite mobile. The cameras, they weren't the big ones, but I was kind of like, it would have been a shame not to have done all that and not taken it. And now I've still got it 30 years later.
Memories are made of this on videotape, although you are getting them all converted. So that's a kind of like a diary of your life, isn't it? Sutton Park.
My fictional life. Yeah.
I don't know. I think the two have started to merge.
Oh yeah. Well, it happened that when I was doing. Around the time we were doing this walk, it sort of fell on when we were doing episode 100, So episode 100 ended up being a movie-length episode recorded on the walk, and we always used to, as time went on, we were finding different ways each night to be able to sort of charge the camera so that we had batteries for the next day. But I'm certainly glad I did take it with me.
It's charming to have those memories, though, isn't it? I think that's the thing. I mean, it's funny, because obviously I have none of that in my life at that time at all. I didn't know anybody who could afford a video camera, quite frankly. But I didn't have that sort of circle of acquaintances. They were all doing terribly tedious things like having children. So it was it's kind of weird now, because there's this, I find out about all this stuff that you all had going on, and of course now, and you still have access to it, and you part of me would love to be able to sort of access segments of my life like that. It's just it's kind of a shame to a certain extent we don't do more of it. I know nowadays everybody's got a camera phone in their pocket and they're doing it all the time, but this, for those people who lived for 30 odd years before any of that was available, it's now a bit, we wish we'd had these when we were that age. We need time travel so we can go back and record ourselves.
Yeah, I kind of wish that. I did use my video camera pretty much solidly for 10 years, from the very early 90s to the very early noughties, and it
finally ran out of film.
Well, so they hadn't made any more. Because that's the thing. Each tape I bought, I used once, and that was it. I didn't reuse I literally have hundreds of camcorder tapes because they were one use only sort of thing. I was going to say I kind of wish that I continued more into the noughties, because actually the noughties was a more sociable decade almost than the 90s.
It all got really interesting. Yeah. There's a lot more flesh in the noughties. In the noughties. Oh yes, you'd be making a fortune on YouTube now.
And I did more writing in that decade, but there's less. There are still, because I suppose we did enter the sort of digital photography era, so there was quite a lot of photos.
Do you find your writing? I know you did poetry, but I know you also wrote scripts and stuff. But I mean, was Sutton Park scripted a lot, or did you just write scenarios for that and hope for the best?
I didn't. I often didn't do. I don't think there was anything that was scripted for Sutton Park. I might be wrong. There might be.
Well, I just know you've had script books out, haven't you? So I just assumed there was a certain amount of scripting that you were doing there.
Yeah, I've done script books, but they weren't really Sutton Park related.
Right.
Other series I've done since. But I mean, you could still construct a script book if you had the time. You could go and pick some episodes and turn it into a script. But having come from an ad-lib source originally, an improvised source, but.
You mean you haven't got? There aren't teams of scribes now transcribing all of the old episodes and
yeah.
You see, what interests me actually is I wonder how much the fantasy life or the artificial life crossed over with the real. Did you find that things that happened in the artificial life started happening in the real life? See, I was editing. I've been editing your book. Which I know is probably not necessarily something, but and I suddenly noticed certain things that I'm sure you've talked about cropping up in the dialogue, and I'm thinking, hold on a minute.
It's quite possible that I might have sort of put little in jokes.
It's just really weird, because I'm thinking, I'm sure I've had this conversation with him, and it's in this, and this was written. This was definitely written before 2020. So
well, also because the book that we're talking about, Nick and I have talked about this on the show as it was coming together at different stages. But the idea was going back to some of the stuff we'd done in the 90s, where we wrote alternate chapters, and this is what the book that you're looking at is. It was done like that. Unfortunately, it kind of got. It took longer than perhaps we intended, and it got to the stage where I think I felt like I was doing the bridging episodes, or I was doing character episodes, and but the actual storyline was coming more from Nick's ideas. It got to the point where we were near the end, and I was kind of like, I really don't. I feel like Nick has an idea for how this ends,
right?
And I don't know how I'd end this. And although Nick said, well, actually, no, I kind of didn't, but for sure. But I still felt he was more in control, so I let him do 2 episodes in a row to finish it off. But I did an episode that was set in at a hospital radio station, and I think I probably mentioned podcasting quite a lot. So I was bringing in things that I.
It's what writers do, isn't it? To say so. I was just intrigued because when you said about diaries and stuff, I did wonder how much of this was literally plucked from the headlines of your life, or whether some of these things that you were writing about then came to pass later, and then you're very prescient, as a Mystic Paul. Oh,
but it certainly happened in the day. Sort of. Nick was always very keen on bringing real life into Sutton Park,
right.
So he proposed to not the lady not Ali who he married, but another girlfriend he had who he was engaged to in the early 90s.
Right.
He proposed to her during an episode of Sutton Park.
Last of the old romantics.
So yes. There were points where. Real life. We went from fantasy to it being very real life. We'd go to a Doctor Who convention, say, and I'd record bits of the guests on stage, but then I'd have some plot line going on in the background that only us lot knew about.
Well, I'm sorry, but why is that not turned up on the Blu-ray collection?
Well, I'm sure it will eventually.
I'm not going to have to double dip again, am I? It's those. I know it's those 4K. I'm dreading the 4K editions.
Okay, but anyway, I've been working on the episode I'm editing at the moment. Is an episode I recorded with Toppy and Nick. I was recording it at the other end of this episode. That is what we're recording for now. So it's all.
I tell you, I can tell sometimes that these projects I get very focused on these projects when I'm working on them. So I have been editing this for the last couple of days now. Just as an exercise for me. Like I say, it may not be the finished product by any stretch, but it's a useful exercise for me to do and to have a large body of text that I didn't work on to work through, and I'm finding that very interesting. But the thing was, I remember I woke up very early this morning, and I knew that Nick's name began with N, but I could not, for the life of me, at 2:00 this morning, remember what his name was. I was thinking, is it a Neil? No, it's not Neil. I know, but I know it begins with N, and I could not get to the name Nick. It's very, very weird how that happens sometimes. So it does, but that's what I'm saying. It just invigilates my brain. So at 2:00 in the morning, I'm thinking about this edit, and yet obviously I can't even remember the names of the 2 people who wrote it.
It's just so frustrating because. Used to be, it's just learning they've changed everything so much that it's just like I think I've got a bit of I'm a bit blind to it because it's so different and it all seems so much more complicated than it used to be. And to get a book on Lulu and I know I'm not the only person who's had problems.
No,
because one of Nick's friends publishes some of Nick's writing under his. He's got an imprint that he uses. He uses. Lulu.
Has he got a nom de plume? Has he got a nom de plume?
Well, it's Alan Hayes, and he's done books about Avengers, but he's done some of Nick's books, and he's put them out through Lulu, but with his own sort of publishing name attached, and he's got to the point where he's like I'm just stumped. I was releasing books quite regularly, and now I just, what have they done, sort of thing. So, whereas I suppose it's kind of, at least you're coming to it, and that's the only way you've ever known it.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it's interesting because obviously I'm a bit out of the loop now with my design career. So I just quite like manipulating type I quite like doing that. I quite like laying out pages. It's one of those things that I've come to, but I really realise that how much I enjoy. It's silly things. I tell you what, it's interesting. It's probably not interesting at all, so bear with me. But you know, if you type in Word, if you use Word as your basic typing thing, and you're typing away, and you use apostrophes, they're proper curly apostrophes. But if you type on other writing platforms, the apostrophe is sometimes a vertical dash kind of thing. And sometimes, because something's been written by two people over a number of time in various parts of their life, maybe, you know, they might have written a bit on their phone while they had a lunch break or whatever. Sometimes you're going through this thing and the apostrophes change. And that's one of the things that helps you to know you've checked it. It's going through looking for the wrong apostrophes. And I know it's weird, but I really somehow find it satisfying to go through a massive block of text picking out the apostrophe. So that's been fun. It's really weird because on some level, I mean, I have to do a minor plug for something that nobody wants. I did a book recently of my own essays of my own writings I did for around the archives, and that was a very large wodge of text. And I'm hoping that when the people who have decided they want it actually see it, they're not massively disappointed by it. But but that was interesting to go through and edit that. But to actually edit something that you haven't written yourself is also quite an interesting process. And I feel that as and when and if I end up, you know, this may be one of those things that I end up trying to turn into some kind of income strand at some point. You know, as and when I start, you have to be able to have done it, so it's actually a useful thing to have. To actually take that and say, oh, I can do that, is a lot easier when you can actually do it, if you see what I'm saying. You can say you can do it, and then someone sends you a file and you sit there and go, what the... you know? Whereas if you've actually said, yeah, I've done that one, I know I am actually capable of it, that means a lot, you know.
I know that I'm also a little bit bloody-minded in that, but when I decided to do script books, but I mean them to be read rather than performed, I also thought, well, I'm not going to do them like you'd see a script if you were performing, because a lot of...
Oh, you'll hate everything I've done then. You'll hate absolutely everything I've done. That's fine. I don't mind that, because I'm doing it as an exercise for me. But
well, no, it's fine. But that's the reason I didn't do it, is because I thought a lot of the white space you get in scripts is because people are writing marks in the
yeah.
But it's like people with doing my poetry books and having them full of photos and not a bit of white space and people, then they're meeting other poets who are kind of like, oh, what's this thing? What's this 300-page poetry book with lots of photos? And we don't understand, do we? Can I compute? This is not what I...
Oh, yes, the poetry pamphlet, no more than 60 pages.
No, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, because I wouldn't buy a book.
I want to do a book, damn it, I want to do a book, proper book. I
want to buy a book with photos.
I want to throw it down on the desk and have the desk wobble. I want it to
half
shake.
Half of the book is almost a diary of the writing of the book you've got in your hands, plus a fact file for each poem as to where I was when I wrote it, how long it took, what dates were, because if I don't write it down, then I won't remember if someone ever asked me. But
I think the interesting thing for me has been the discovery that Word, specifically Word, is an absolute beast for page breaks, and you know, if you want, like me, I am someone, I like my paragraphs to have a space after them, and Word really doesn't like that.
Yeah, I think you kind of over the years I wrote my Mouse of Commons novels. I think I came up with the style I liked, but it wasn't necessarily the way that it would have been done if it had been done professionally. But
indeed,
but you can get very sort of you know, and things like having just one word that drops over into the next line. I would actually rewrite a paragraph just to get
rid of that.
get rid of that, which I think this is actually kind of ridiculous that you're actually changing
I absolutely
the paragraph because it looks nicer on the page than if it was.
Typography is an interesting skill because it's very much one of those skills that people don't really see. To a lot of people, a page is a page is a page, and they don't really understand that there's a lot more to making it look like it's a proper thing almost, and that can be it's quite difficult to explain to people. There's a lot of I've been getting quite frustrated recently. There's a lot of adverts running at the moment for computers which basically imply that design is just anybody can do it. And I like to think that design, for me, is a skill set, and it actually is a way of being able to do things where they feel right and wrong and everything like that. And I know there are no rights, there are no wrongs, but to a certain extent, I feel that designers are skilled people, and the world at the moment seems to be thinking they aren't. And that is difficult for me because fundamentally I'm a designer.
Well, it's like the free software that used to come on, like Windows computers, to edit your videos together. They've obviously decided, and when I was doing my poetry videos, it was the perfect level of it wasn't too difficult. It was all quite simple, but it had a nice result.
Yeah.
To the point where my boss at the time, they were doing a video for the college.
Yeah.
And somebody went off and took 6 months to do it, and it still didn't look good.
No.
And then she looked at one of my videos, which I knocked up over a couple of evenings on Windows Movie Maker, and she was like, well, this is what we want. It's the sort of thing you're doing. I'm like, well, it's really easy. But then, unfortunately, they went and they kept tweaking at it, and they kept tweaking at it, to the point it no longer exists. Yeah. And the last thing I looked at when my most recent Windows computer came, it's almost like they've really dumbed down to the point where they're kind of, somebody might want to make a little slideshow of some photographs. The idea that somebody might want to put a little movie together is like, I'm not even going to bother with that because our users are all idiots and they never do anything quite as complicated.
Well, this is it. I mean, instinct is an important part of design. You know when something looks right, and I think that can't really be taught. I think it is instinctive, but I think there's an awful lot of this kind of sense that anybody can do anything, which is strictly true. But you can write. But can you write well? I mean, I always talk about what I do, and then there's real writers, because I have absolutely no self-confidence whatsoever from that point of view. But I do think there's an awful lot of very average stuff. I mean, we are a very consumer based society when it comes to creative stuff. We like to consume it. We like the film to be made. We like the TV show to be made. We like the podcast to be made. But the people who actually go out and make it and stick at it and work at it and work at it and work at it seem to actually, in many ways, they don't do any better than the ones who knock stuff together. You can make masterpiece and, 3 people on Twitter will tell you it's quite nice. And then somebody will take a photograph of their dog. Sorry, they'll take a video of their dog farting and, and you think this is the society we're in. But also it's a very passive thing. I mean, lots of people play I don't play computer games, but lots of people play computer games. But the people who are actually making those games are much fewer. There are still teenagers in bedrooms or whatever who can create a rock song and be very successful with it, but they're the rarity. Most of it is consuming the music, not necessarily producing it. And I think that's an interesting thing, that we still need creators, we still need creatives in the world, but sometimes we seem to imply as a society that we don't need that because anybody can do it. But then again, you think to yourself, well, if anybody can do it, why isn't there more of it? Because ultimately we don't get Citizen Kane made every week by child geniuses. We don't get that. It's implied that we all should be able to, but when it comes to the crunch, very few people go out and actually do it. I mean, yourself with you've spent 30 years doing your videos and your podcasts and everything like that, but that is the exception. It's not the rule. There are lots of podcasts in the world. There are lots of people making video casts and everything like that. Most of them are trying to find an easy stepping stone to wealth and riches. But the ones who are actually doing it for the passion of it, for the love of it, and genuinely producing a good product are much rarer. God, that was a rant. Sorry, wasn't it?
And also the more famous the podcaster, or if it's a podcast by a famous person, all they're doing is sitting down having a chat with one of their mates, and then the rest of it's being edited by, or it's being sponsored by this company, and 16 different people are editing it, or it's not the same as like, you have to do with Vision on Sound, decide what you've got to do a show, it needs to be an hour, you've got to find a guest, you've got to edit it all together, and you've done everything. And the same with me or Toppy.
This is it. I mean, the sort of microcasting and the kind of podcasting sort of underground, as it were, because I do think of us as the podcasting underground to a certain extent. We're not ever going to get 5 million listeners. We know that, but that isn't the reason for doing it. It's never been the reason for doing it. I mean, okay, it's nice if one of your shows, makes a breakthrough and does get sort of a bit more noticeable, or someone sort of does manage to make that leap, but it's very, very rare, and that's not the purpose behind doing it at all. The purpose behind certainly what brought me into this, or podcasting generally, was Andrew and Lisa asking me if I wanted to do something for Around the Archives, and all that came from that, from my point of view, came from that one simple request. But those things are always going to be niche, but they're done through love. They're not done through cynical marketing. They're done because that's what we like doing.
But then even nearly 6 years down the line, like in April this year, I suddenly had 4 times more downloads than and I don't know why that month. What was it? Something that I tweeted and someone got retweeted, or appeared in some sort of podcasting tweet that I never saw?
Well, you can be pretty sure they're listening, so whoever they were can tell you.
Well, thank you, whoever it was.
Precisely.
The people who downloaded lots of episodes in April.
That's it. But that's the thing. I mean, the problem is it's a very one-way system. You actually, I do. Well, I mean, I know it's not a live radio show, but I do a radio. You get so little feedback. You don't know in the end a lot of the time. I mean, I talk to you, you talk to me, we talk to Warren, we talk to Andrew and Lisa, and Andy and all that. We talk to each other, but it's very difficult to work out in the great scheme of things whether what you're doing is actually something that people enjoy fundamentally.
But that's also when the shy part of the Shy Yeti emerges, because I was talking to Toby the other day, and he was saying, so-and-so might be a really good person to talk to, and it would really fit well on your show in a way that our formats don't really allow you to talk quite like that. And I'm kind of like, but it's somebody I don't know. And I've still got, because I've got enough people that I talk to. And I think when I started the podcast, I was a bit up for kind of, I did talk to a lot of podcasters on 548 who I'd never spoken to before, but I guess I felt I knew them a bit from listening to their shows. But they were still sort of strangers, really, as far as me actually talking to them. But then I got to the stage where I had so many people that I could record with who are either knowing you in real life, or you get maybe the first time I recorded with you, I was a bit nervous because I hadn't talked to you. But now it's like just we've never met in person, but we've talked hundreds of times, and now I wouldn't even think about being nervous.
No, well, that's how it works, isn't it? But I mean, imposter syndrome is still, I've had a couple of people who are slightly higher profile on the radio show, but even then, I'm much more nervous about asking them back than, because I feel that they're far too highfalutin, and they've got much more important things to do than talk to little old me on my tiny little radio show. But that's the thing. Actually, you fall back on what works, because actually the interesting thing about this, and I genuinely am interested about this, is that you can simply talk to people, and yet some people you're constantly looking at the clock to see whether you're even going to get to the time, and others you look at it and go, God, where did that hour go? And it's amazing how different. Some people don't like to, they'll talk your arm off if you're sitting with them in a cafe or something, but you stick a microphone in front of them and it terrifies them. It's a very subtle art, I think.
And there's also a few people who I think who would have quite interesting things to say, and they're kind of like, oh no, I wouldn't have anything to say, or I don't like being recorded. And you think, and they just kind of knock it on the head, and you think, not even once, not even give it a go, see if you like it.
I've had the people that I've approached who've just said, "Oh, I don't think I'd want to do that," or don't get back to you at all. It's very hard because, I know that it's certainly I mean, I quite like the format I've got at the moment, but I do cycle through the same guests. And I like that. I feel that keeps it fresh, but also, it's a team. It's a team effort, and I quite like that. It's just that every so often you think, oh gosh, does the listener find that as interesting as I do?
I'm lucky that I get to, like my show, Toppy's show. I don't think there are that many shows.
They dovetail
like
well, don't they? That's the thing. They dovetail well.
Yeah, they go well together. But and it's kind of really good that we met and can now cross over and because we speak similar language. Although we both do things differently, even though our shows have similarities, they also have differences.
I mean, I think it's interesting because ultimately you started doing your show because of what you heard other people do. People started doing their shows because of what you do. And I mean, all of what I do, I mean, literally, I think about this quite often. All of my artwork that I've done in the last few years specifically is mostly triggered by acquaintances from Twitter. Most of my writing work has come from the same source, but also everything really in terms of podcasting comes from the fact that Andrew and Lisa sent me a tweet and said, would you like to do something for our show? And if that hadn't happened, none of this would have happened. Literally none of it, because I would not have found another route to that. And that kind of frightens me on some level, because this is what I do now. I mean, it's the massively, wonderfully overworked and underpaid, well, not at all paid process, but it's what I do now. And I feel that when that happened in my life, which as I've not really talked about, but it was a bad period in my life. I'm not sure what I would be doing now if I hadn't done that. I don't know if I would have found these things to do by any other route, if you get my drift on that one.
I mean, talking to you, or talking where you're having a conversation, they're not as tiring as the episodes I've done. They're not really tiring at all. They're just like talking. And like this morning, I did an episode where. So I sort of aim to do about an hour when it's the improvisation episodes, and I'm pretty much the only person in the episode. That really does feel tiring when you've kept the whole thing going with conversations and storylines and plots. And
I have some emergency backup when I can't get a guest ideas, which I know I will have to write every single word for. They terrify me. It frightens me that a week will come along when I've got no guest and I've got a show at the end of the week. And I'm going to have to basically sit down and write an entire hour.
Or suddenly you'll be your own guest. You'll invent a character.
Well, I'm not quite sure our format would quite,
I'm not sure about that.
Quite fit that. But no, there is this... I feel there's this nail-biting terror of having the weekly radio show. I mean, people say to me, I mean, you've done 80 odd episodes on the bounce. When are you going to have a week off? And I think if I have a week off, I'll stop. I'll just stop, and I might never start again. And actually, I think it's that nail-biting terror of knowing there's another one to be done that actually motivates me to keep me going.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean,
I know you could never stop. The ideas pour out of you, but so the rest, we mere mortals.
Well, but sometimes I do more than one episode a week, but I don't have any set. The only dates I have that I really need to is if I want to get an episode out around a holiday, like a Valentine's Day or whatever. But to know you have to have one out, because there have been times where I've had like 10 days off because I've been away somewhere, or so there have been longer gaps between episodes. But to know you definitely have to have them all ready for next Sunday, or a few in advance. If you know you're going away, you need to get them.
You have to have two in the bank.
Absolutely. You've kind of got like I always feel a bit sort of. Oh, I need to get. Okay, so I can do 3 episodes, but then I need to give myself at least a week for this big episode that links with a particular holiday, and it starts to get a bit stressful. But you've got all that. You've got that every week.
Yeah, but I'm not as sort of. I don't worry too much about the calendar. I'm not really worried about doing one for the Jubilee or something like that. That doesn't actually bother me as much. It might be Jubilee weekend when an episode goes out. It might happen to coincide with us, happen to be, say, talking about, I don't know, Elizabeth R or something. But it's not actually, I don't plan it like that. The only one I really plan is Christmas, and even then I'm starting to think that's a bit of a bad idea. It's I don't know. I find the thing that terrifies me is ultimately, I mean, the world is your lobster with Shy Life. You can talk about anything at all. Theoretically, my show is about television. I like to think that sometimes it's about prompting. It's a prompt in the sense that if we start off talking about, where we pick a random show off the shelf and start talking about that, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what the hour is what we end up talking about. We can talk about all manner of life as long as that's the prompt for the show, and that's that. If you like, that's the inside number 9 we can hang it on. That's our label. The thing that frightens me is I sometimes sit here and I think I cannot and when you consider how vast television is as a topic and how many shows there are, I literally sometimes sit here and think I've run out of things I could possibly talk about. I can't imagine anything else I could talk about for an hour with anybody. And yet, somehow so far, sort of touch, whatever it is, laminate. The shows keep coming.
I often think that when you say think of something, oh gosh, there's nothing else for me to talk about, and then I just go. But then I'm quite like that with my own show. I kind of think, gosh, I can see that I'm kind of starting to run out of the episodes. I've got too many of the same sorts of episodes, and then I just go and have a little think, and suddenly I've got 10. I'm quite lucky. I'm quite good with ideas, and I think you are probably as well.
I think. I don't know. I think I'm quite intrigued to see where somebody takes it. But the thing about it is I've been interested in television since I was probably about 9 years old. I've never worked in it, but despite wanting to at times. But I can walk round my house and there are bookshelves, and I can literally I could hold out my hand, pick a book off the shelf, and that would probably prompt a show. Or I could literally go over there and find out, all the nonsense I've bought in some network sale, and pick a DVD off the shelf and, and say, would you like to talk about this show? And somebody would. It's just that the terror of not knowing that's automatic, if you like, that's the worry. But I mean, you know me, I can talk about bloody Quatermass till it comes out of my ears, and I probably will. And yeah, I mean, the weird thing about that is that, I'm not a professional. I'm not somebody people seek out their opinions on. I can, I have written things, but not for any professional, publications. So I'm not an expert, but I'm just an enthusiast. But there is always something to talk about. I mean, we've talked on the show about shows that I would never have seen. We've talked on the show about shows that are much more recent than that 20th century thing. But I don't think that matters, because I think sometimes these shows have started in last century, sometimes they just haven't. But I don't really think that matters, because we're just talking about telly, and telly is something that it is I mean, I'm not saying everybody watches television, but everybody I know has got it a relationship with it. So there is always something else to talk about, really.
I think the interesting thing is that although I know Andrew and Lisa, and I've known them for years, and we talk on some shows. We talk about the shows that we know each other likes. I think the more we've done it, the more we realise how many shows that we all like that the other one hasn't ever heard of.
Yeah.
Or so we've all got our own little favourites that don't really fall into the usual. So I've got my sons and daughters, or my son, and because Toby likes stars, he likes the Sky at Night, and I was talking with Warren. He's very into his police stuff, but also quite new stuff which I've never even heard of. And we don't often talk about the new TV we watch.
Well, it's not very archivey, is it? Yeah.
But it's quite interesting to find all the dissimilarities we have, or we kind of think, if Toby likes it, then maybe it's worth looking at, even if it's not my usual sort of program.
Telly's a peculiar beast, though, isn't it? Because the relationship we have with it is so various, and everybody does have an opinion on it. But we all grow up watching stuff, and sometimes we grow up in different eras. So there are the shows that people talk about now that I've never heard of. But I think it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, it's just it's common ground. And if someone starts talking about a mental health issue or something that happened to them, or decides to talk about a film, or decides to talk about a radio show that they liked because of watching a TV show, that's fine. That's exactly what we're there for. We're not being Gogglebox. We're not going, oh, he's got funny ears. We're not doing any of that stuff. We're just talking about telly because we like it. And telly, like I say, when we were doing the A to Z, me and Andy, you find that certain shows, cult shows, for people who claim to like television, really only like a very narrow area of television. So they'll like a show like The Avengers. They might like a science fiction show or something like that, but they might not necessarily be interested if you're going off and talking about the Pallisers or Forsyth Saga, or the Fosdyke Saga as well. I mean, you might want to talk about it.
Another mention that one.
Well, yes, but when you do something that's a bit more classical or a bit more obscure, there isn't that same interest in it. And that's surprising me because basically for us, sort of telly is like this big sponge. It's just telly, and it's all interesting. And the way you join the dots is all very interesting. So I
also find that I'm very stubborn, or whatever you want to call it. I could have a run up to a TV show and hit and go, oh no, I don't like it, and then 5 years later it might be my favourite show. For those few months, I think it might be a bit of an OCD or magpie type thing or whatever that I don't even realise that I've got, except that that there's a time that okay, so I for years I never watched Dad's Army, and then I had a few months where I was very keen on Dad's Army, and then I haven't really gone back to it since. But I did kind of, but that time was right, and I don't know what it was the trigger, but something was right.
We can be quite emphatic. The people, telly fans, can be quite emphatic that they don't like something, full stop. And so actually you're probably unusual on that score. But, television, like I say, our relationship with it, I mean, I don't like watching with other people because I want to concentrate on what's being said. So if someone decides to have a conversation with me about something else, I get quite irritated by that. Unless it's something quite passive, like snooker, or something that doesn't really matter if you aren't concentrating on the words. But but a lot of people, they sit in front of the telly as a family and they're yattering away, and the telly's just on, and they're having a different relationship with the television than the archivist or the television fan is. But equally, you might find, I don't like that actor, or I don't like that, I didn't like that program 5 years ago, but 5 years on, they've done something else, and you think, it might be interesting to see what they were doing in that other show.
I was quite shocked when I read my 1990 diary that I was saying.
Oh yes, we were. I knew that was the topic for today. Thank you.
Well, no. But the weird thing was, in the diary, it was around the time when I first got Blake 7,
right?
And it was not from official releases, just from people recording it off Super Channel or something. And Nick would pass it to me. And in my diary, I say that I watched it, and then I kind of got my mum and dad and brother to sit and watch it as well. And I can't imagine kind of getting a DVD or a video and going, hey, come on, let's all go and watch this. But when I was 16, I was quite happy to do that. I wouldn't do that now, I don't think.
It's odd.
It's weird seeing how things have changed. But I guess we did watch a lot more things as a family. Things like Bergerac we watched as a family. Last Summer Wine we watched as a family.
But again, you're probably at the very back end of that era when the households were a one-screen place, really. And that's a different relationship. People now are so used to going off and either watching on their phone, but back in the day, portables in different rooms or different tellies in different rooms. It's a different relationship we have with television than we did in the 70s, certainly in the 80s. The actual the world's relationship with it has changed, and so when people start to mess with it and start saying that they feel that it should reflect a different model, to a certain extent they've got a point, but the thing is they've actually missed the point as well, and somehow you've got to find the best of both worlds. And I don't think some of the people who are seeking to sort of deal with television at the moment are necessarily going to find that.
I better let you go.
Okay.
It's been good chatting with you, and
I'm not sure we talked much about diaries, but we went somewhere.
Oh no, it was fun. It was despicable from talking about whatever we wanted to talk about. I'll speak to you soon, and listeners, we might have a little bit more before the end of this episode. I'm not quite sure still got a couple more days before I go home, but anyway. I shall be back in a moment. Let's play some music.
You take care.
Hello, Harry. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine, apart from having bronchitis.
Yeah. Well, whilst I was at my parents', you were on holiday with bronchitis. Were you able to enjoy your holiday?
Yeah, I had a good time. I was a little bit... I've been sort of like a little bit wiped out by it, but I was still able to... I mean, I really, really wanted to go because this was my first trip since the first international trip since the pandemic hit. So I was quite determined, to go to France. And I had a great time. It was a nice break away. It was very short. It was only about 4 days away. But it was nice.
You pronounce it because I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I was based in Rennes, and that was my base. But the main place that I wanted to go to was Mont Saint Michel.
Yeah.
So I got my. Yeah.
Did you actually stay overnight there, or just for a day?
So. Well, this is just my own crappy sort of planning and not really thinking things through. But the French SNCF trains get booked massively ahead of time, and my original idea was to be based in Rennes and literally just go for a day trip. But when I tried to book the trains, I found that I could only do it on consecutive days. So go out, but nothing in the evening coming back at all. So I got a train booked for the following day.
Yeah.
And that meant that I needed to stay over in Mont Saint Michel, but I managed to find a decent enough hotel in Mont Saint Michel.
Actually, yeah, I spoke to my mum, but we weren't sure what sort of accommodation there were, because we went there, but literally 29 years ago, on a day trip from Jersey, I think, and it does appear in a relatively early episode of Sutton Park, but I still obviously I can remember shops and stuff, but I can't remember sort of accommodation other than maybe accommodation for locals or something. But yeah,
no, they've got probably, I think, probably 2 or 3 hotels there, and of course they massively overcharge. But you're basically you're staying at a World Heritage site, so you're paying more than you would normally do for what you're getting. But it was shelter, and there was breakfast, and it was a nice enough place.
I only asked because I saw your Facebook post about you looking around early in the morning. I thought, well, you must have stayed over because you couldn't have been there in the early morning 2 days
exactly
otherwise.
No, so I got there. So day one, I basically got there and went to the abbey, which dominates Mont Saint Michel, which had been around for centuries. And then I stayed over, and it did mean that I could get up quite early in the morning and have a walk around the ramparts that surround Mont Saint Michel, and it affords you a look over the bay.
Yeah, I remember somebody had like drawn in the sand with a piece of stick. It must have been quite a big piece of stick for me to have better seen it so clearly, but I'm sure it was something. I have to go back to the Sutton Park clip, but I think they'd put in the sand like Birmingham, UK, which was rather ironic considering where Sutton Park was. So,
there you go. Yeah, that tradition continues, but essentially, Mont Saint Michel is often covered, surrounded by water.
Yeah.
But of course, by low tide, it's basically a beach.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's the first thing that I did when I got there. I didn't go to the abbey. I just actually had a wander around Mont Saint Michel because the tide was out. And sure enough, people were writing all sorts of messages. In fact, when I woke up the next day and had a walk around the ramparts and had a little look down, someone had written Ukraine in the sand, in obviously big enough letters for me to be able to view it from high above. So that tradition carries on.
Having just watched the new version of Scream, I pictured you looking out the window, and on the beach it says, "What's your favourite scary movie?" And the whole conversation takes place on the sand. I don't know why. That's just my own.
Yeah, there was lots of it. There's telephone numbers put on the sand. I don't know what that's for. They had messages of support for Ukraine. That tradition still very strong.
Have you ever been to St Michael's Mount down in Penzance?
No, but I have heard of that. It's there's some sort of connection, isn't there? Between the two.
It's much smaller, but ever since I went to Mont Saint Michel in 1993, I wanted to go to St Michael's Mount, and I finally did in 20. The years have gone a bit funny, haven't they? 2019, I think it might have been the last year before the pandemic of holidays. So I did finally, and I was, even though my health for walking and stuff hasn't been so good, I did make it to the top. And
fantastic!
So I did finally do it, but it took 27 years or something for me to finally get.
Now I feel like I need to do this. So maybe that's the big follow up. Yeah,
I can tell you a good place to stay. And I'm not Trust Place in Penzance, but
it was it was a bit of France that I've never been to, and also, as I said, I was based in Rennes, and there was some nice things to see in Rennes. Also, they've got a cathedral, Saint Pierre Cathedral, which has got a very, very grand interior. I went to the Musée de Beaux-Arts. And also, there's Thabor. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Thabor Park, Thabor, Thabor Park, which is just a very beautiful, cultivated park. With French-style garden, English garden, Japanese-style garden. It's got a lot of different things going on there, including they had an aviary. So, which was
surprised to see
a treat.
So I think that was one of the first photos I saw on Facebook was you in the park or of the park, and
yes,
and that was only like before tea time, and I knowing that you had to travel from London and change at Paris, and I was surprised you weren't just knackered. I'm surprised you got out there. I know you didn't have much time.
I was completely knackered. I was completely knackered, especially as slightly unwell from the cold and the bronchitis. But
how did you find?
I was kind of determined to make the most out of my trip.
That's what I thought. How did you find Did you have to change stations when you got to Paris, or were you?
Yes. So basically, it was a trip through to Gare du Nord, which of course is the normal Eurostar terminus. And then they've now, but basically to get to Rennes, you have to go to another bit of Paris called Montparnasse. And to get there, I took the metro number 4. And the Paris Underground have now got their own version of Oyster. And they've got something called a Navigo Easy card, Navigo Easy. And you just load it up. So I'd written out what I wanted just in case they didn't understand what I was asking for, because my French is very, very rusty indeed. But basically, I said something like a Navigo Easy avec de ticket. So I got 2 tickets basically loaded up on this Navigo Easy, and it allowed me to go to Montparnasse. And then, of course, when I came back from Rennes on my final day, I was able to do the reverse journey.
Yeah, because Callum and I had all sorts of problems when we went to Marseille, just doing that hop across town, because I'm not sure if when we got there the machines there was only one machine working and there was a massive queue and or something. Yes, it's something really kind of slowed us.
Well, if you ever plan to return to France, get a Navigo Easy card, because basically, if I ever go back to Paris now, I've retained the Navigo Easy card because it's like I say, it's like an Oyster card, and I can basically charge it up with some whatever tickets that I want. Hopefully, it'll be very much like an Oyster style experience. Yeah,
like you had some nice food as well. Some, the food you were posting. Tasty.
Yes. I was able to suspend my noon dieting for the duration of the trip. I don't think I would have been able to cope otherwise, to be absolutely honest with you. But there was some nice food. Actually, at Mont Saint Michel, I found there was a nice restaurant that was overlooking the bay. And because this was at a time when most of the the tourists had gone home, it was fairly quiet in the restaurant, and I just had the very traditional steak frit for dinner, and that was absolutely delicious. And then on my final night, I went to this Italian restaurant and had a pizza.
Yeah, I saw that. That looked good.
Which was interesting sort of mix of things. They had cracked an egg on the top of it.
Oh yeah.
But it hadn't sort of fully cooked, so I don't quite know how I felt about that.
Yeah, sometimes I have a Fiorentina, which is egg and spinach and cheese, and sometimes I've been and they haven't quite done it to my liking.
If they'd let it sort of cook a bit more, then I think I might have felt a bit sort of happier about it, to be honest. But it certainly looked good. It looked unusual, but no, it was nice. It was a nice meal.
Your next trip is on a boat, isn't it? Is it?
Yes.
Is that to Norway? Is it to see the boy?
That's right. So that's
what it's called.
That's right. So that is sort of mid to late June, going on cruise to Norway.
Is that to see the lights, Northern Lights?
Not quite, sadly. Not for June, sadly. That was the original trip, which we were going to do November 2020, I guess. would have taken in the Northern Lights, because that's the perfect time of the year, November to January. So that was the original plan. So this is more just about enjoying Norway and the fjords and the glacier and so on and so forth. So
I hope
there'll be plenty for us to do.
Yeah, I hope you'll come back on the show and tell us how it went after you've done it. But before you go, we're going to go smoothly into a piece of music which was composed by you called "I'm in a Ship." Is that right? That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to tell us about?
Thank you. Yes. So the song, obviously, as you get sort of older, you sometimes sort of feel like you're falling to bits. And I'm sort of in the song, I'm talking about I'm in the ship and I'm falling to bits, talking about my body, but then I sort of think, well, I'm in a job and the job's sort of falling to bits. And then what's been going on with the planet, with all sorts of the challenges that it's sort of facing at the moment, sometimes feel like the world is falling to bits. But it's actually it's more of a sort of a comedy, sort of comic, sort of light-hearted song. It's not meant to be sort of serious and tragic and sort of upset. It's sort of darkly comic. Yeah.
You won't be getting the lyrics version, but still.
No.
So when you're listening to it, listeners, just think about what you just been told. So. But anyway, thank you very much, and we'll go straight to that now, and we'll speak to you soon.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you. Bye bye for now.
Hi, listeners. That's nearly the end of our episode, I'm afraid. I hope you enjoyed that chat with Martin. It started off as a little chatter and ended up being a massive chat about TV and writing and all sorts of things. So, yes, we also recorded for Vision on Sound, of course. Last night after I spoke to Martin, I finished another episode of the podcast and released that. I'm working on the next one, which will probably be the last episode to go out in April, if I get a chance. So, and then I think this episode comes after that and will be the first episode of May. It may not be, but that's what I think it will be. But that's what I'm planning. So I think I'm going home tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. I was possibly going to pop in and spend an evening with Milo and Cromitty, but I don't know. I don't know if that can be arranged. It's very difficult. It's very difficult sometimes making plans. People don't like making plans until the last minute, and I like to kind of know what I'm doing at least 24 hours ahead if I can. Anyway, before we go, though, we're going to have a quick chat with my mum, because we've got some recording to do together this afternoon for another episode. So yeah, we'll say hello to her and then we'll say goodbye, I think, and then I'll probably record something on the way home, on the train home or something, if that's what I've definitely done. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for joining us, but have a listen to this. Yeah, me and my mum having a chat about books and stuff, or at least about the recording we're going to do about talking about books and stuff, if that makes any sense. Have a listen. Hello, listeners. I'm with Mum. We've just been recording about the books under the piano. You'll hear that in a future episode. Got a lot of things under there. How many books do you get per week? How many bags would you say you got a week, or is it not as not as?
It varies tremendously. I usually, because we live opposite, I usually go over there once a day to make sure it's tidy. It's strange what people leave over there. It's not just books. I should think over a year we've had about 14 absolutely new hanging baskets, empty hanging baskets. Who wants to get rid of those? No idea, but they all went.
I noticed there was those little, like, tables for babies. They must be for babies. They're so small.
The stools, yes.
Are they stools or are they tables? I wasn't sure.
Well, yes.
But they're basically for little...
Yeah. Well, it's useful. I mean, we've had unopened packets of nappies, but it happens, I think, to almost every mother that they suddenly realise that their child has grown out of those nappies and you haven't opened that bag which was at the back of the cupboard. And so as there's other people in the village with babies of the right age, again, I think it's all part of the recycling and not throwing things into the bin.
All the
environmentalists should be asking everybody to use their telephone boxes or...
There was it wasn't in the telephone box, but outside there was a lost leg from a teddy bear.
Very caring we are in this village. And it had been washed.
Some bear has lost a leg.
Nobody has
claimed it. It's been there for a month or more.
No, we should have to. Well, I think it's been there about a fortnight, but we should have to be harsh one day and decide that leg has got to go.
You'll have noticed by now.
I mean, we have got one or two teddy bears, I must admit. Which looks...
You don't want to sew it on. You don't want to give a bear an extra leg just because you've got... That's inventing a new...
They're so nice. I've had to bring them home. They will eventually go back in there, but again, it was bought as a child's probably taken to a very, very tutty bear and won't look at the brand posh new bear at all. So they put it in the...
Might turn out that the bear that leg belongs to is a tatty old, is an unwashed bear, and now it's got. If it was reunited, it might be like the new leg was much more tidier or cleaner than the rest of the bear. But anyway, I've been here for a week now, and I shall be going home tomorrow, I think. So, but I'll see you again soon. But I hope the listeners have enjoyed the various conversations I had with mostly people online. So it's not really. I did bump into Nick, obviously, but I've mainly just been talking to people all over the place. But anyway, we've got plenty more episodes in the can, and so thanks for listening, and join us again soon. And we'll say goodbye from me and Mum and all these books, and hopefully when I come back I'll still be able to, I won't find that the books are up to the door. Like
you can't get in.
You can't get out. Right. Bye for now. Say goodbye, Mum.
Bye.
Hi listeners, it's me again. You thought you got rid of me? Well, not yet. I'm on the train. We haven't left yet, but about to leave Salisbury Station. I'm not going to see Iron Comedy tonight after all. I'm just heading home because it's all proved too difficult to organise, but that's fine. Got a cup of coffee, got a more comfortable seat than I had on the way up, so I mustn't rumble. I hope you've enjoyed all the chats we've had this episode, and didn't go very far. A lot of people we spoke to weren't even in Salisbury when I spoke to them, but I was, and we'll have more for you soon. There's a lot going on, a lot of mysteries to solve. Yes, but I won't spoil anything. I can hear the theme music coming, so I'll say goodbye for now. And I'll make a second report before the end of the episode, I promise. Yes, unless I'm still stuck on this train and I haven't got anywhere by then. Anyway, speak to you in a moment.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear, what's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast. Let's go.
I have a voice. I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice. We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
Weybridge, Walton-on-Thames, Persham, Esher, Surbiton, Wimbledon, Earlsfield, Clapham Junction, Vauxhall and London Waterloo. The next station is West Byfleet.
Hi again, listeners. My progress is good. I'm on a different train now. I'm on the train from Woking back to my flat, so almost home. Yeah. I've been reading Doctor Who magazine, drinking coffee, and listening to my favourite tunes of 2022 on my way home. So that's been good fun. New tunes of 2022, you say? Yes, well, actually, I find quite a lot. They're just not where I used to find them. They're not necessarily in the charts. In fact, they're very rarely in the charts. But there are plenty of people out there making songs that I really enjoy. So, including today, Bananarama. Yes, they've done a new song. Well, I think it's a cover of a song that was never a hit. But anyway, yeah. I must admit, I do tend to... My tastes don't tend to get more mature as I get old. I mostly listen to what can best be described as bangers these days. Pop songs with a good chorus that make me want to dance around the living room, even though I'm probably incapable of dancing around the living room these days. But, anyway, I should shut up. We'll be leaving in a second. And, yeah, I've got to get editing this episode. Yeah. I'll be starting almost as soon as it's finished. Okay. Ta-ta for now. More episodes coming soon. Bye-bye.
That was a long one today, huh, folks?
Glad you had a good holiday, by the
way. Yeah, I'm glad that I did it. Yeah. You know, I was just determined to... I was literally, you know, I didn't feel that well. And I still don't feel that great, to be honest. But I was just determined. I just thought COVID has stopped so many holidays. Like, we were going to go down to the southwest last year, and then we got COVID in July, and that just put the kibosh on that. And then we were meant to go to France also late last year, and then Omicron happened, and basically France closed down and was demanding all sorts of extraordinary things, including you know, that you'd be quarantined if you actually set foot there after you'd taken about 500 tests or whatever it was. It just felt like everything was basically, you know, sort of determined you're not going to leave the UK ever again.
Well,
I just sort of felt like I really wanted to go.
I had all sorts of holidays cancelled, but even now I want to go on one this year. I've got to go somewhere that's relatively easy for me, and one of those places is the place in Kent that I often go to.
Oh yes,
and I was really free. I could go anytime because of not working, but they couldn't fit me in until mid to late October. So, so I'm going.
But at least you've got that, haven't you? Now you have got that to look forward to.
Yeah, but anyway.
I don't know, but sometimes this show is really weird. Paul, that was a whopper. Please. This is just the weirdest thing I've ever heard. God, is this show gonna end anytime soon?